I mean,
That's huge.
think about the magnitude of this game. 2 calls, like the penalty, and then making up for it.
Wow.
With this.
Look at the athleticism right there.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, this is great by Georgia. Again, you work this all the time. You got to put your right guys in a position to do that. If that guy's a 6'2" guy, he doesn't get it. They got a 6'5" guy that can leap. They brought him from the field, which is exactly where they needed to bring him from because of the trajectory of the football. And that's just great Georgia defense.
And the great thing about that is he didn't hurdle. He didn't hurdle the adjacent lineman, and that's important. He had to hit the crease.
But Georgia's offense still has to move the football. Like, this game is nowhere near over. You don't want to put it on the field goal kicker because if they had to kick it right now, it's 44, 45 yards. They got to continue to move the football. An update in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama has the ball, and they are in the red zone looking to score.
Thanks for the update. I forgot that game was being played. This is the Georgia Radio Network.
Got a block from Brown. 50, 10, 5, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Dogs win it. We're headed to Atlanta.
Boy, what a play call right there. Go Wild Dogs. Sony Michel, great presence and great patience. Found a crease, and the Dogs are all on the field and now running to Sony Michel, mobbing him.
They're mobbing him in the back corner. Fromm with the key block.
Well, Georgia heading to Atlanta. The other game will determine who they will play. Tim and Marcus watching Alabama about to score first.
Second and 5. Alabama is tapping on the door. What a great game between Georgia and Oklahoma.
Tigers, Kayvon Wallace to the corner, but he just ran out of real estate. It's going to be 3rd and goal from 7 yards out.
Well, this is where Jalen's got to be judicious with the football. Absolutely, you want to throw for the score, but you virtually have a field goal in the pocket, in your pocket right now, and points are at a premium in this kind of contest. It looks like it's going to be somewhat defensive oriented.
Here's Irv Smith in motion, the tight end. 2 wides left, 1 to the right side. Here's Jalen standing in, looking. Everybody's covered. Jalen rolls right. Jalen fires towards the end zone. Closest was a Tiger defender, but it sails out of bounds.
I'm still trying to figure out what game we're watching, guys.
Yeah.
We welcome in Greg McElroy here as Coach Chizik, Coach Greg McElroy, no coach yet.
Yeah.
Derek Mason will be back with us. He's been with us all day. Booger, and we're watching Alabama in the red zone, but
I got to undo my tie.
We're still thinking about the Dogs.
I got to undo my tie.
Greg, you're going to kick a field goal.
Surprised you still had the jacket on.
I'm about to ditch it.
Yeah.
It's about to be out in the. If it wasn't cold in here, I would. That game.
Wow.
I mean, it's, with all due respect to Alabama, it's still hard to even think about anything else.
It's just, wow. That was the best football game I've seen. That was the best football game I've seen since the 2013 Alabama-Auburn game. And that might have been the best game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But knowing the stakes and the magnitude of that Rose Bowl game, my goodness. And we're gonna talk a lot, I promise you. We will talk a lot.
Compare it to another Rose Bowl game, Coach Chizik.
It was about the same.
Not all that different.
It was about the same.
Yeah.
If you get right down to it, the nuts and bolts of it, that game unfolded pretty similar.
Yeah. All right, I'll clean it up now after that momentary lapse. And
meanwhile, Alabama's ahead, in case anyone's wondering.
Okay.
3-0.
Right.
Early on in the game.
No, it's where it's just hard to. I mean, things are moving so fast here. You just want to like stop the world for a second and think about. We'll have a week to think about it, of course, but it was still an amazing. I mean, so many. When that penalty occurred, it looked like they were done. I mean, so many amazing turnarounds in a game.
We will go down and think about that drive that Jake Fromm and Georgia put together at the end of the game to tie it.
Oh.
That drive will go down as one of the greatest drives in Georgia history. I mean, that just sensational.
I don't remember ever watching a game where there were as many swing changes. Usually somebody just gets knocked out.
Right. Just the momentum. And, as you watch this game, the momentum that went back and forth between these two teams. And in the end, if you're Georgia, think about it. Chubb, Michelle, over 300 yards rushing combined. Lorenzo Carter, the block. 3 guys that came back last year. It just shows you how important it is to have a ball club that's a veteran club. And for those guys to make those plays in this crucial situation, unbelievable moment. Congratulations to Kirby Smart, Mel Tucker, Jim Chaney, Georgia, and going to Atlanta.
And again, you can't lose sight of what Oklahoma did. I mean, Lincoln Riley's first half was about as good as
perfection
we've ever seen.
Almost perfection.
Let's think about something, though. Remember at the end of the first half, squib kick?
Yep.
Squib kick.
The 3-point difference.
3-point difference, squib kick, end of the first half.
An inexcusable squib kick.
There's no reason to squib it at that point.
There's no reason to squib kick.
Kick it out of bounds deep. Unbelievable.
By the way, meanwhile, Alabama's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know, I know I mean, and we should be talking about the Georgia game, but 2 things that impressed me right now about just seeing a little bit of the Alabama game I've seen. Number 1, it looks like they're committed to running the football.
Yeah.
With their tailbacks.
Yes.
With their tailbacks. And then again, Alabama's defense right now is flying around, and it looks like they have an answer, at least right now, for these quarterback runs. And that doesn't surprise me, given they've had the time that they've got right now. And they're fast. They're playing fast, and they're playing physical on defense, which is no surprise at all to me. But again, if Alabama's going to win this game, in my opinion, the tailback run game is going to be huge. And if they throw you for a loss here and there, that's okay. Don't get away from it, because eventually that's how they win games.
Right, yeah. I mean, and watching it over there in the corner, Alabama so far, Jalen Hurts has gotten off to a decent start throwing it, had a couple drops, but the defense has been very aggressive. Seen some pressures, seen some twists and stunts up front. Jeremy Pruitt clearly didn't have his new job affect his preparation, because they're dialed in early. Well done. Well done on the scramble. Got to reel that one in.
That's a drop by Deion Kane. And if you're Deion Kane and you're one of the playmakers offensively for Clemson, you can't make that drop. The 2 playmakers, or 3, should I say, Deion Kane, Ray McCloud, and Renfro. Those are the guys that are going to touch the ball for Clemson. Can't make that drop to keep a drive going now, because we always talked about Alabama, third down.
That's right.
Third down. So there's a situation right there where Clemson couldn't convert on third down. Now Alabama gets another possession.
That's a big drop.
Well, they're 0 for 3 on third downs right now. Clemson is.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to be, you know, last year, and even in the Auburn game, when we go back and revisited that, third downs offensively for Alabama were abysmal. And we're going to see how they are on third downs tonight.
Another thing, too, Alabama is really, for the most part, dominated field.
Okay, we are going to continue with our conversation. We're a long way from being over, as we'll go from January 1st to January 2nd here in a few hours. Back with the coverage of the Sugar Bowl after this. What an unbelievable day it has been, and we're a long way from being over. The Dogs in Oklahoma playing an absolute classic. Booger McFarland about to take off, so we want to get a little more knowledge from him as we watch some of the great moments of what may go down as one of the greatest games in college football history.
Well, there's no doubt it will, Paul. And it's amazing how momentum turned. And it was back and forth, the ebbs and the flows. But here's what I'll say. 2 teams that did it with different styles, but in the end, the seniors from Georgia, Chubb, Michelle, 324 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. You look at Lorenzo Carter with a great block on field goal block that sets up the situation where Michelle can run in for the game-winning touchdown. I think Kirby Smart takes pride in winning the game. I think he takes a little extra pride in his seniors that came back the way they won the game, Greg.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, truly amazing. And the adjustments at halftime. To think, I mean, they were getting cut through like a knife through butter in the first half. On the ground, through the air. They had no answer for what Oklahoma was doing offensively. And then in the second half, Roquan Smith, at times in the first half, was a bit of a liability. Missed some tackles, over-pursued, was out of position. He turned it on in the second half. He resembled the guy that we came to love over the course of the season. What an adjustment by that defensive coaching staff, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, they go down 14 at halftime.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it is they didn't panic, and part of it is because they have older guys. And I think Kirby went in the locker room and said, hey, guys, it's a 2-score game. We got 30 minutes of football.
No doubt.
This thing is not over. And, again, the way they responded defensively in overtime. Let's not forget, we'll always remember the running backs and the block kick.
Right.
They had 2 defensive stops in 1 possession.
Yes, yes.
Because they had the pick and they were offsides, and they came back and made them kick at it again. That was huge in the game to set up Lorenzo Carter's block.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
And you
No
can't
doubt.
forget about that.
And for a league that sometimes gets attacked, but from the outside, it's the 11th time in the last 12 seasons an SEC team has made it to the championship game.
How many times
A couple of guys down there know all about that.
Facts don't lie. Facts are facts, right?
It's true. I imagine that one's going to come up a time or two this week on the Finebaum show.
And as we settle in, you know, we'll have a lot of time to talk about Georgia. Oklahoma, you got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, that's a good
Baker
football team.
Mayfield, outstanding. This was really the first time I'd watched Baker Mayfield from start to finish under duress. He is a playmaker. You talk about Rosen, Darnold, Allen, all these guys across the country. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is better, but he'll have an opportunity to play in the National Football League because of what I saw today. And so hats off to Lincoln Riley, tremendous first year replacing Bob Stoops.
Yeah. That was a good football team, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They were a good football team.
We will get into this game by the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the first thing I'll say right now. If you watch the game so far, which we just started doing, Alabama's controlled the game so far. They're controlling the tempo.
Yeah.
They're controlling the line of scrimmage so far. This game is going at Alabama's pace right now. End of the first quarter, 3-0 with the ball, no explosive plays for Clemson. This is right where exactly. This is right where they want to be at right now.
Guys, there's no yards gained for Clemson right now.
0 yards.
We got 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And Clemson hasn't gained a yard. And again, you look at the way Alabama's defense playing. I know they're on offense right now, but the way Alabama's defense is playing, they got their linebackers back.
Yeah.
They got a little bit of, experience with the guys that were hurt against Auburn. These guys are flying around and they're making plays, and schematically they're going to be right.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be right, and it's hard to hold a team to 0 yards coming near the end of the first quarter.
Especially a team that was clicking on all cylinders offensively.
Yeah, what they did against Miami
and South Carolina before that, and South Carolina proved to be a pretty good defense today. I mean, this is an impressive performance early from Alabama. A lot of poise, good distribution, good balance.
You know, typically a team gets 12 to 14 possessions per game. So Clemson's already had 3 possessions, 0 yards. It's Alabama's tempo. 3 possessions a quarter, that's only 12. That's on the low end for a team like Clemson. So this game is being played at the tempo of Alabama.
Well done right there by Jalen Hurts. Escaping,
100%.
keeping his eyes downfield.
Fairly similar to how last year started, isn't it? Alabama had
It was very one-sided early, yeah.
Very one-sided, but they were doing it with both Scarborough. Remember, Scarborough was running the football. Alabama got up 7 of 14 points. Scarborough breaks his leg.
Let's hear how Eli Gold called it on the Alabama radio network.
The Clemson defense, because typically Jalen Hurts, when he sees grass in front of him, he's going to tuck that thing and run. Tremendous composure.
Jalen Hurts got a reprieve because Calvin Ridley was wide open in the middle of the field on the initial play design, but he got flushed to his right. He kept his eyes up, and Calvin kept working across the field and catches the first touchdown of this football game.
Calvin Ridley.
We're going to take a short break. Back to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans after this.
Back here in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans.
Let's hear from Eli Gold here.
Scarborough to the left of the quarterback. 2 wides left. Foster is to the right. Jalen looks, has time. Jalen flushed in the pocket. Takes off, throws, end zone, touchdown. Calvin Ridley. Touchdown, Alabama.
Well, I tell you, Jalen Hurts got a reprieve because Calvin Ridley was wide open in the middle of the field on the initial play design, but he got flushed to his right. He kept his eyes up, and Calvin kept working across the field and catches the first touchdown of this football game.
Calvin Ridley.
Nick Saban, obviously in a pretty good mood right now.
I've been in a good mood, too. Up 10-0. Defense playing well. Clemson has 0 yards. And right now, Clemson is a running football team. And the predicament they always were going to be in order to beat Alabama, what Deshaun Watson did to put them in position to beat them was throw the football. Well, Kelly Bryant doesn't do that as good as he does running the football. So now it comes a cat and mouse game. If you're Dabo, you realize you have to throw the football, but you have a quarterback that the best thing he does is run the ball great. So that's a tough predicament for them to be in.
It is, but if I'm Kelly Bryant, I'm sitting there right now about to take the field thinking, I just threw a pretty good ball the last time out.
Yeah.
And it was dropped by my man Deion Kane. I'm going to keep feeding him.
Yeah.
So he's still capable. Now, he's not Deshaun Watson. He didn't have to be. But Alabama's done a great job taking away things that he's comfortable doing. Like you said, the quarterback run game. And making sure that they rally to the football with some of these explosive weapons that they have at the running back spot, too. It's been a tremendous defensive performance to this point. And I know it's early, Coach, but any indicator as to what they're doing, it feels like Alabama's got a beat on it.
Yeah, there's no question. To me, I'm just looking at Alabama right now. They're mixing in and out of 3 down fronts, 4 down fronts. They're fast. They're playing great vision coverage on the quarterback.
Raekwon Davis just destroyed 3.
They are. And this is how they're playing. This is the momentum that Alabama's defense is playing with right now. They're playing violent. They're in the right spots.
We got to see that.
Coach Chizik, you expected this. You've been saying this all
I've been saying it. I've been saying it for 2 weeks. I mean, this is what I expect out of this defense.
First quarter is in the books, and it was a pretty positive one for the Crimson Tide as they lead 10-0 over Clemson. Alabama was favored in Vegas. The perception was that Clemson was the better team. We welcome you back. The Mercedes-Benz Superdome, the site of the Sugar Bowl, where 1 quarter is down. We have a new compatriot here. Tim Tebow was on the field earlier while we were watching the end of the... I'm curious, Tim, how aware was that stadium of the game and the scene in the Rose Bowl?
They were extremely aware of it, and then they also did them favors by announcing it, and the whole place erupted.
Did they?
Announcing the score. Yeah. And it was amazing. All the Alabama fans instantly start chanting SEC.
Oh, really?
Instantly.
Of course.
They give it about 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway, we welcome you back. Georgia heading to Atlanta. It will be the first time a school has played in its home state since 2011 when LSU hosted, or somewhat hosted, Alabama and lost 21-0. Back to the game, guys. Tim, what are you seeing so far?
Well, right off the bat, Alabama won the game plan leading into it. It looks like they're playing faster. They know exactly what's coming. It looks like Clemson's game plan coming into this was to spread them out, not use a tight end, and if they do, don't attach him. But it hasn't been able to work so far. And I know they're trying to create space for Kelly Bryant and these backs, but there is no space right now.
No, Alabama's defensive line's controlling. Some of these guys are 2-gapping up front. They're controlling the line of scrimmage.
Really the first time you've seen Alabama get out of the rush lanes with some of those twists up front.
And that's
the dilemma.
It is, and
Yeah.
that's the downside to it. That your distribution on your run lanes can get discombobulated in there. And again, if you're playing match coverage or man coverage down the field, you got a lot of backs to the ball.
Right.
So a scramble with him, instead of being a 5-yard, if you're playing vision,
big
zone coverage, now they turn into 15-yard scrambles.
It's a big conversion for Clemson, too, because they were sitting in 2nd and 17.
Absolutely.
They're absolutely getting no push on any play whatsoever from anyone on the offensive line.
They're not winning in the trenches right now at all. Hunter Renfrow a non-factor, too. You know that Alabama was
non-factor. And you know who's been on him at least 3 of the plays while I was down there while I was making the walk up here?
Minka?
Minka.
I believe it.
And most of the time, he was getting jammed. Only one time where they went into a bunch did he have to back off. Every other time, he was putting fists on him.
Right. Disrupting.
Drop.
He's on him in there again, you're right.
Yeah.
So they're matching him all game.
I think the only times that he'll probably back off is when they motion or some form of bunch when he can't necessarily be right on him.
Right.
When they get him in stacks or bunches where they can't press him.
And Minka's down here on the edge.
I'll tell you this, we talked a lot about it coming into this game, and there's a lot of criticism on Jalen Hurts and a lot of praise for Kelly. But right now, it looks like the lights have been a little bit bright for Kelly, and I think that he can loosen up, and what a play.
Man.
That's a big throw right there.
Great throw.
Well, Deion Kane made up for the 3rd down catch, and he dropped the other. That was a heck of a catch, and again, with somebody draped all over. Yeah,
that was.
But this is going to be interesting to see if this can loosen Kelly up a little bit to get him to play fast and confident.
Right.
and step into these throws.
Yeah, that was a good strike.
Yeah, it was. Bama's been bringing a decent amount of pressure off the edge.
Most of it, from what I've seen, has been coming when they go to 3 down front. Kind of trying to bring it off the edge.
Well, the bottom line is that if they can't run the ball an inch, which it doesn't appear that right now they can,
right,
then number 2 is going to have to win the game, and we talked about that. Is he going to be what Deshaun Watson was in terms of being able to win this football game?
Well, that's an interesting matchup, I think, we're going to be seeing all game. Deion Kane against Levi Wallace.
Right.
You know, I think Levi Wallace is a tactician, but he's not overwhelmingly physically gifted.
Yeah.
He's a walk-on. He's a talented player and has worked his way into that. But Deion Kane is remarkably talented. So
and he's long, physical body.
Very, very explosive player out there on the perimeter. It'd be interesting to see if they continue to get that matchup or if that's a matchup that Clemson tries to take advantage of.
Their defense. Good run.
Man, he's taking some hits.
He is.
They are. Pads are popping.
Number one, when you're offense and they go to bear defense, number one play that offensive coordinators want to go to, speed option.
That's right. They're going to check it every time. It happened in the last game in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Same thing. Oklahoma went to it a couple times.
Even I ran the speed option. Automatic pitch, though. Auto pitch.
That was built in.
Auto pitch.
Yeah. Auto R2.
Just make him commit.
Right. Auto R2.
You're good.
I really don't remember that, Greg.
Yeah, it was one time, actually.
Oh, that was close.
It's a really good job right there.
It's a great play by Kelly.
And Rashaan Evans, too, rallying.
I think you're going to continue to see the edge pressure from Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
You're going to continue to see it from Rashaan Evans. Those guys are just playmakers. They're violent rushers, and even if you're one-on-one and they're one-on-one with the back in protection, you see them jumping over guys and leaping over. They're fighting and clawing. And then in the run game, they can run things down from behind and create a lot of negative plays. I think you're going to continue to see that a good bit tonight.
QB power.
Tell you what, if they keep playing at this pace, Kelly Bryant is going to be so sore.
Yeah, because they're stroking him now. They are bringing it.
Tell you what, there's a certain level of focus, though, that I've seen from this Alabama defense over the last couple weeks. I went down to practice, got the sense that they were tired of being told that they were a liability. That's always been such a proud group, and I feel like this group really came under some serious criticism down the stretch, and they're playing angry tonight, it seems like.
Oh. You know what's hard for me to imagine? That a team that's a defense that's in the top 3 probably in every category that matters on defense can be tagged as a liability. How does that happen?
Well, because it's just we've set a standard so high for Alabama that even a one loss, it's like the sky is falling. Just listen to Finebaum's show.
Yes,
on
I agree with you, but this is also the mistake that too many people make, especially in the media, is they take snapshots of one half, one quarter, the last drive that they saw, and that becomes the whole season, instead of looking at the big picture and everything that has happened in the season.
The whole body of work. I totally agree.
What a good kick.
Kick made it over by a hair. Anyway, we'll take a short break. Back with Tim and Greg and Coach Chizik as Clemson finally gets heard from here. Back to the Sugar Bowl after this. Welcome back to the film room as we continue to watch and observe the Crimson Tide and Clemson early in the game. Georgia going to Atlanta for the national championship a week from tonight. Tim, what are you seeing so far?
Well, the defensive line's dominating for Alabama. The front seven's doing a really good job of containing Kelly Bryant. Kelly did look to me like he was able to loosen up, started with his legs last drive, got a huge first down on 2nd and 17, and that got them going a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, if you're an Alabama fan, you have to be super happy. And if you're a Clemson fan, you got to be a little relieved that last drive helped a little bit. But I also, from watching these two quarterbacks, Jalen looks so comfortable and confident and ready to prove people wrong. I mean, he hasn't flinched yet today. In the slants he's been throwing, he's put them right on the money.
Too. And Kelly Bryant, every time he's dropped back or gotten involved, he's gotten hit, man.
Yes.
I mean, he has taken some shots. Most recently, we'll take a look back here after this kick. I mean, that shot he took on 3rd down, Alabama opts to bring an all-out blitz, pressure in the A-gap, and he gets smoked as he tries to release the inside fade in one-on-one coverage.
And you're going to see more of them.
Yeah, oh, they're
coming.
coming.
You're going to see more
They're
of them.
coming. Nice tackle. Here is some of that pressure that we were alluding to. I mean, Alabama so far.
This is some of the pressure we've seen so far in the game.
Yeah, aggressive. Very aggressive, Paul, with the way they're bringing the guys. And, I mean, they're reacting to.
Look at the two guards.
I mean, they're all over.
Look at the guards.
I mean, they're getting beat at the point of attack. I mean,
Yep. I mean, that's a good play.
They're getting off blocks.
They are.
These guys are not staying blocked. I mean,
No.
that's the trademark of the Alabama defense. They're not going to stay blocked.
Yeah, and they're reacting so quickly. And right there, you have side-to-side motion. Completely ignore it.
They didn't honor it at all.
Go right after the quarterback. I mean, that's aggressive.
This is where I think Alabama can't get away from what they have started the game doing.
Yeah.
The tailbacks in the first quarter touched the ball 11 times. In 3 possessions, 11 times. You go back to the Auburn game. They touched it twice in 4 possessions.
Right.
I'll tell you what, who I think their best tailback is right now, with the way they're collapsing on the back.
34.
Number 2, Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah.
I get him on some keepers.
Well,
Let him rumble.
And they're doing that, too. They're getting him out there, too. Well, they're playing.
That kid is hard to tackle.
Yeah, he's.
But the way, if you know, when they run the zone read and they pull the tight end or the fullback to the backside, they've collapsed on the zone read every time they've run it. And I think they've only run it 2 times right now, but those are big plays for Jalen.
Yeah,
I would go back to it if I'm Dayball.
Well, he is not afraid to call the quarterback run game.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to lose. You can't save your guy right now.
There's not, as long as you know he's not going to take the big hits and you feel good about him being able to get out in space and get down or run out of bounds. Because, again, it's a numbers game. And
Totally.
you can't account for him in one-high defenses unless you have somebody specifically, designed to basically mirror him.
Right.
And so he's mixing it up right now. But, again,
I do love the swing pass, getting big backs.
yeah, the tailback swing screen. They're blocking the perimeter, and that's another deal that they do well.
Handoff.
This guy right here, though, 34,
Easy run.
I love this guy.
Yeah,
I think he's underrated. I think everybody talks about Bo, and I get that, and I understandably so.
Here we go. Got him.
Wide open.
That's where Jalen has to be aggressive and let it rip.
Sometimes when it's so wide open, it's so hard.
Let it rip, though, man.
I know.
That's a game-separating play right there. You got to let that rip. Be aggressive. Go win it.
I like the call by Dable.
Love the call.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Got him beat by 4 yards.
That's probably 10, 12 yards underthrown.
That's a great play defensively. You got to give him credit. But, man, that one hurts.
It's a great call by Dayball.
It was.
I agree.
It's a great defensive play in the secondary. Coach, I know you like the defense.
Who was
you got to
that?
give the defense a little love.
Yeah, well, the guy deserves it. He's beat by 4 yards, and he regained on the route.
Yeah, he did. Damian again. How many touches for Damian so far? Damian has 8 carries, and now he has 1 catch. So 9 touches already, just over 20 minutes in the game.
I mean, you really got to like the way that Dayball's mixing it up.
I do. I think they went back and they looked at Auburn and they said, we're going to do this different. And they needed to.
And where they struggled more than anywhere is on 3rd down.
Right.
3rd and 1s are easy.
Right.
I mean, that's a breeze.
Right now, they're 3 for 5 on 3rd down.
That's the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Alabama struggled down the stretch. Not the case tonight. You're gonna get 90% of your 3rd and 1s. Now 4 for 6.
I get it that it's easy to bring a fullback and a tailback and put him in the pistol and turn it around. But in a situation like that, I like spreading it out and letting Jalen go 3rd and 1 or giving it to a 3-by-1 with Damian Harris.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You know what I like about that, though, Tim? You know what they said? They said, we've heard enough about Dexter Lawrence. We've heard enough about Christian Wilkins.
Let's go right at
It's 3rd and 1.
Yeah. But let's continue to spread it out and be smart.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. But that 3rd and 1, that was a mindset. That was a set the tempo. Look, dude, we will run out.
I hear you, but you got it by 2 inches.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You got it.
Hey.
If you win by 1 point or 1 touchdown, it don't matter. You win. And I like it. I think Alabama's got to set the tone with a mindset, and again, they got to be smart on how they play call. But like you guys said, I agree with Brian Daboll's calling right now.
Yeah.
I think he's hot.
Scarborough hasn't had much opportunities to really get loose so far running the football. Prior to that, just 3 carries for -3 yards. Of course, did have that 1 reception.
But how big this offensive line is, the tight ends, Scarborough, Harris, I mean, these backs, even Hurts, they can wear this defense down if they
100%.
continue to have this time of possession.
Double A's got the collapse.
Good play by Jalen. I'll tell you what, though, this is a place in a drive where Clemson really needs to have a Dexter Lawrence, a Christian Wilkins step up, win man-to-man, and be able to get a TFL. Best defensive line in the country.
Yeah, they got a bunch of draft picks up there. There's no question. 3 out of the 4 are All-Americans on some first-team All-American for some entity.
Yeah. That's a good position to be strong at, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty big statement.
Good important position. J.K. Scott trying to pin him beat. As good as it gets in college football. Still so interesting. Hunter Renfrow yet to record a reception. If I'm Jeff Scott or Tony Elliott, I got to get him the football.
Yep.
So Alabama holding on to a 10-3 lead. We will take a short break. Back to New Orleans after this. Now the famed streetcars of New Orleans. It's all quiet out there now, but when this stadium ends the game, when we see the fans rolling on the street, it will not be that. Well, welcome back, Coach Chiswick, all the way down there. Greg McElroy, Tim Tebow. We finally calmed down from the first game. Took a while, but Alabama.
It's an awesome game, man.
I mean, it's stunning.
That's why you just love college football.
It's the best.
There's nothing like it.
It's the best. It's not even close. I mean, the excitement.
Are you kidding me?
The excitement.
A semifinal, double overtime, blocking a kick.
It's ridiculous.
Here comes Clemson.
Great catch. I like that design. Just a little curl wheel.
Try to keep him safe a little bit.
Little curl wheel action.
Nice throw. Put it about the only place you could put it without a defender. I mean, these guys, he doesn't have a lot of open windows.
No,
he doesn't have a lot of time.
He's been on time with it. Wow, about the first time we've seen an Alabama defensive tackle get pushed back. Right there on the right-hand side, Isaiah Buggs, number 49, pushed around pretty good by the right side of that offensive line. Still wasn't a huge gain, only a 4-yard play.
Screen.
Really good. What a good play by Minka Fitzpatrick.
Play.
I mean, he didn't finish it. Boy, he's quick. He reads it and reacts so fast.
His instinct is as good as I've seen. His anticipation, you know, that's what makes DBs great, when they can anticipate. I don't care if it's in the pass game, the screen game, the run game. Guys that have great anticipation And you know what? Coaches would love to say they teach it. They don't teach it. That's a lie. You don't teach it. Yeah, I taught it.
You taught it. You're the only
Everybody
one.
else is lying. Right. But they don't. You just guys just have knacks for that, and he's one of them. Great pass rush.
Tell you what, the pass rush is getting home.
Great pass rush. They ran a stunt in there, but again, when they ran the stunt, they kept their lane integrity. And that's, again, what they're going to have to do. They're getting pressure.
A TE?
You know, yeah, they ran them on both sides. They looked like they ran something on both sides. I'll see on the replay here, but they really, really kept their lane integrity right now. When they're bringing a guy under, you have to wrap a guy around for contain.
No, just a spin inside and a rally. That's a good job by Duran.
Great job, yeah.
Recognizing escape and getting wide.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of time.
No.
And again, this defensive line, this defensive front came to play.
But you got to ask the question, where's Hunter Renfrow?
Uninvolved.
Getting smothered by 29 right now.
Yeah, if I'm a receiver, the last guy I want covering me is 29.
Prior to the snap.
Right.
I'm not happy about that. If I'm a receiver.
Number 11, 5-yard penalty.
I would know I'm going to have a slow day.
Right? I'd be like, stack me, get me in a stack, get me something to get this dude off me.
And Tony Brown occupied that position last year. I mean, he was the star, and of course, he had the touchdown at the end of the game. He was on coverage. He was the guy that was on Renfrow most of the time. Then he had Ronnie Harrison on him some last year as well. So this year, they clearly have made him. I mean, they got him twice. He got him 2 years in a row. I mean, the guy had 17 catches for 180 yards against Alabama and 4 touchdowns. So they're not going to let him get him this year. Nice catch.
Well, we're just, you know, Alabama's just, he's good that he caught it because they've struggled with that some this year.
We'll take a look at Jalen trying to lengthen Alabama's 10-3 lead for the second quarter of the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and we're coming right back. Back in the film room, Coach Chizik, Greg McElroy, Tim Tebow, the sights and sounds of this anticipated Sugar Bowl, the trilogy. Haven't heard much about that. This game, you forget all that once it gets started. Tim, what do you see so far?
I see a really good game plan by Alabama, a focused team. But I also see Clemson starting to relax. And if they're able to get 1 or 2 big plays offensively, I mean, this is a 1-score game right now. And you get a stop and maybe a little momentum, a field goal or something before half, it totally changes everything going into the second half. That's really what Clemson needs right now.
Yeah, Alabama, too, they get the ball at halftime. So an opportunity here to potentially milk the clock and go 2 for 1 in possession.
Don't put your defense on the field for.
Yeah, I mean, this is big. If they can go down and milk the clock a little bit, 2.5, 3-minute drive, get some points, touchdown or field goal, either one, and then you get the ball back potentially at halftime, 2 for 1.
Think about it. If they do that, their defense is off the field for probably an hour of real time.
Yeah. And by the way, Clemson's run 25 snaps on offense, which is a perfect number if you're Alabama. Of course, remember, Clemson ran 99 last year, and Alabama wore down. Look at that.
Great run.
I like this guy. I'm telling you, I'm going on the record. I'm going on the record. This dude is real. Yes, he's real. I mean, look at all the runs
on the record, he is real. So how do we gauge if he is real versus
I'll tell
not
you if
real?
he's not real.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Okay, perfect. Just let us know if he starts
I'll tell you
to
when
become
there's not a real guy.
If he starts to become fake, let us know.
Yeah. I'll tell you when he's real. When they keep giving him the football, you know he's real because they're making the right decision. I just like the guy.
The old real call.
He's big, too. I mean, I think that
he's fast, Greg. When he if you've seen him this year, he'll stretch the ball, and then he'll make a cut downhill. And when he makes a cut and he finds a lane, nobody catches him from behind.
Yeah, it's a great push by Clemson's
He's
defensive
good on the
line
backfield,
right
too. He's good on the backfield, too, when it comes to catching the football and some of their extended handoff stuff.
Offside. Defense, number 45.
That was big.
Penalty. Second down.
That's big.
I mean, this game just has an Alabama feel to it, doesn't it, so far? I know it's early, but it feels like Alabama's doing what they want. They're making the game look the way they want it to look.
Yeah, I would
with the
agree.
physical presence and the emphasis on the line of scrimmage.
It looks like who they've been. It looks like who they are.
Over the last decade.
That's right.
You know, not over the last month.
Good tackle.
Right.
Yeah.
Running the football, playing great defense.
That's it.
Really good tackle by Van
Efficient.
Smith.
Yeah,
very,
that was.
very good tackle.
Very good
By the
open
way.
field on a tough back.
Sweet, too.
Yeah.
That visor, the sleeves.
You like the visor?
I do. Got a little swag to him.
What about the mouthpiece? The mouthpiece cord.
I'm not mad at it.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't play quarterback. I'll do that.
No, that's
Heck yeah.
That's swag.
That's too much for you?
Yeah, it's too much swag.
Oh.
On Spears' swag meter, that's too much swag. Swag
First of all,
all day.
swag for you was the quarterback wristband.
That's it. Maybe the quarterback wristband when it was hot. I did have a towel on too.
Tim, that's what we're talking about.
I did have eye black.
That Damian's real.
Yeah, again,
real run there.
I love what they're doing with
old
him.
eyebrow.
They're feeding him the football.
I want to know what kind of
Timeout.
swag you had.
Clemson.
I mean, I'm throwing a band here or there.
Really?
Obviously, I had the eye black.
Yeah, you had the eye black.
I would long socks it. Shoot, sometimes I would go glove right hand. I would go band.
While Tim explains to
I did
I
it.
think glove right hand.
Greg
did it
about the
sometimes.
swag meter, we're going to let them talk during the break. We are coming back.
Don't be mad.
As Alabama marching
No.
here.
Hey, look good, feel good, play good. Let's go. Come on.
Some Alabama fans on Bourbon Street. Let's take a quick call here while we have a break in the action. Steve is in Richmond. Steve, go right ahead. Steve, you there?
Hello? Yeah.
Go right ahead, Steve.
All right. I have a question for the guys. Do you think that the winner of the game, the Sugar Bowl, will win the national championship next week?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we don't know who's going to win. So,
I do think with the emotion of the game, that might not necessarily be a 24-hour rule type of game. The way the last one went, that one's going to be high flying, and of course long travel back. But
that's the bad news. The good news is that it's short travel to the game.
That's true.
I do think that the winner of this game will probably be a favorite.
Yeah. Oh, they got a flag.
Might have been a flag?
Yeah.
Hard to get a good look at that.
That's tough.
But going back to the play before, I love it. Spreading it out, getting out of Jalen's hands quick.
Quick. To Ridley, too. I didn't see that real clean, Coach. Did that look clean to you?
I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I can tell you this.
There are fouls by both teams, and they will offset. Ineligible player downfield. Offense number 73. Pass interference. Defense
Huge
number
mistake
1.
by Baylor.
Offsetting fouls. Second
If he did not
It's
look for
also
the ball.
it's a running play, and Jalen pulled it because
Yeah.
it's press man. So it's not really on the offensive line. He's just got to get that out extremely fast.
God, how far was the guy down the
Oh,
field?
yeah.
About 17 yards.
He was absolutely.
He was
I'm talking
rolling.
I'm talking about the offensive
I
line.
know, I'm kidding. I was
Oh, okay.
exaggerating.
I was going to say.
He was rolling, though.
Was he? I
Yeah.
couldn't see
That
him.
wasn't even close to the 3-yard rule.
Tell you what, man, I think Scarborough's a talented guy, but I'm feeding Harris. I mean, I'm with you, Coach. I think he's the glass eater tonight.
You know, I'd like to see Alabama do, because I just watched enough film on them to really see them be effective. But when they run the stretch play,
Yeah.
and they body people up, and these big tailbacks now stretch it and then hit it downhill.
Right.
They got a hard time arm tackling these guys coming off blocks, because they're just so big and physical going horizontal and then vertically downhill.
It's a great tackle by Trayvon Mullen right there, number 1.
Yeah, he didn't want it, though. That's a big boy coming at you.
He's a big boy, but you got to break that tackle, man. If you're 240, I mean, it's a corner. It's getting blocked. Oh, no, you were 240. You getting tackled there?
I hope not. Okay. If I was, hopefully someone was going to eat a little grass.
Yeah.
The first of the half.
So this is an ideal
30
drive
seconds
right now for Alabama. You're playing with house money. You're up a touchdown. You've taken the clock down to 104. You're already in field goal range, so if you're Jalen, you got to be thinking no sacks under any circumstance.
Correct.
You got to be smart. No negative plays. So everything that you do has to get out of your hand quick, and if nothing's there, you lose it.
It is huge, though, because this is that separation score. Plus, you get the ball to start the third.
It's huge.
It's huge.
And this is just how you draw it up, though, as far as games management, though, because you take it down, you get yourself some points, you get it back after half. Your defense is playing well. They're low on numbers, 25 snaps overall offensively for Clemson. And this has been an extremely efficient first half for Alabama as a team. Maybe the numbers might suggest otherwise. Defensively, they're outstanding.
No, been very clean.
But very, very efficient.
And this is what maybe some people don't realize that's so different than the Georgia-Oklahoma game. But this game is being played very well. It's just completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Different type of game.
Be smart, Jalen. Can't take a sack, Jalen. Now that field goal goes from 35 to 42.
You know, in that timeout right there, somebody...
You got to alert him.
Somebody had to have told him, or at least I'm hoping somebody told him, because you said it, G.
Yeah.
You cannot take a sack.
Can't take a sack there.
At this point in the game, you got everything going for you, throw it away.
Good job getting back into it.
Well, you can see his acceleration right there.
Oh, he can run now.
He can really run.
It was a good job making up and getting back.
Well, they got it back. Yeah, they got some yards back.
Still, though, I mean, if he doesn't take a sack there, you have a similar down and distance. Who knows? Maybe you get the first down there. It's just you can't take a sack on second down. You got to be very aware of the situation. If that ball falls incomplete, Papanastis goes on the field and he's thinking, what the heck?
Right.
Right, Timmy?
That's exactly what he's thinking, Greg.
He's trying to do it to me.
Well,
they call a timeout.
Something happened right before.
That looked like...
Prior to the snap, delay a game.
Oh, man.
Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Best thing ever happened to him. Best thing that ever happened to him. Holy cow.
Coach, how much do you not want to end the half on a missed field goal?
Oh, God. That's a total momentum killer.
It is.
I mean, they've got everything going for them right now. If you whiff on this field goal, you just go to Clemson's locker room because they're jacked.
Oh, they're fired up.
Could be a very good penalty.
Still missed it.
Still missed it.
Man, I'm telling you, that penalty, I don't understand why, with Alabama with 2 timeouts left, I don't know how someone isn't looking at the play clock, burning that timeout, Coach. I mean, is someone assigned to look at the play clock at all times when they're substituting right there?
100%.
I mean, you got to have someone on it.
100%.
5 yards. If that's 5 yards closer, that's in.
100% of the time,
Right?
somebody is looking at that, and that's very uncharacteristic.
It is.
Of clock management for an Alabama team. Just very uncharacteristic.
How well Alabama's played. I mean, they just don't have that much to show for it, though, do they?
No.
Yeah, I mean, they're dominating, though, so I think the psychological edge is significant. But, I mean, I think that Alabama will go to the half feeling as though they left some opportunities
No
out
question.
there,
And if you're Clemson, you're thinking, gosh, we got worked this entire first half. And we're one play away from them.
Right.
Yeah.
We're happy.
No doubt.
Timmy, I know you have to head out here. Let me get some final thoughts from you before you...
Well, I'm going to be back in a few minutes, Paul.
Oh.
But it's cool.
Okay.
I guess if you're trying to kick me out that fast.
Anytime you... Tim, anytime
I thought we were family, SEC Nation, all this talk. What? No, good talk, Paul.
That was your buddy Joe Diz who said you were leaving. Right, Joe?
Yeah. I see how it is. I see how it is.
We just want to get some final thoughts on the half.
Yeah. What do you think?
We weren't like sending you off overseas or anything.
Did you or did you not wear a glove on your right hand sometimes?
Every now and then I did.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I did.
All right.
I got proof of that.
What did you think of the first half?
I thought.
I'm glad you got the question.
I thought Saban, Pruitt, and Dayball won the game plan battle.
Yeah.
And I think they had their team locked in to start. But over the last 2 times these teams played, it wasn't who started fast. It was who made halftime adjustments. That was the team that won. 2 years ago, Lane Kiffin did it, and he was able to get chunks in the second half. Last year, they really didn't make as many changes, and Sark wasn't able to do that until really the last drive. But Venables was able to do that and stop the run the second half to give Deshaun an opportunity to drive down. Let's see which coach is able to make the adjustments to give their team the edge in the second half.
Okay,
Jim. I guess now I'll leave, Paul.
Just for a minute. You're coming back.
Come back.
Good talk.
There's a throng of people out there waiting for you. Anyway, we'll be back, get some reaction from the other game, and talk about the second half of this one after this.
Welcome back to the Finebaum Film Room. It's halftime, but who can forget what transpired in Pasadena? Lorenzo Carter in double overtime, blocking the Siebert field goal, and then Sony Michel finds pay dirt for the game winner. Dari and the boys caught up with Kirby Smart and Roquan Smith.
Welcome back to Pasadena, where we've got the victorious Georgia head coach Kirby Smart and his Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC. Linebacker Roquan Smith with us, guys. Initial thoughts, reactions when you saw Sony plunge into the end zone. You win the football game, you play for a title.
Wow. I mean, what a great game, what a great atmosphere our fan base turned out, and just an incredible game altogether. A lot of momentum. I mean, there's 100 plays in that game that swung momentum.
What were you thinking, Roquan? You see it happen. You're standing on the sideline. Your offense finishes the job.
It was a crazy feeling just seeing those guys, punch it in after, like, how we struggled throughout the game. It was just an amazing feeling.
It came out in the third quarter, and it seemed like it was completely different defensively. And so I'm curious, a lot's made out of halftime adjustments. So we know you'll went in there and scrapped your entire game plan, right, and put a brand new one in.
That's right.
But what did you emphasize? What changed for your defense in the second half to look like this?
I think we played much more aggressive. We went to some more four-down stuff, got a little aggressive with our calls, settled our players down. Just really wasn't indicative of us early, and that was the frustrating thing. But there really was no sprinkle dust or no magic we changed.
Roquan, now you guys not used to giving up the type of yardage that you did, particularly in the first half, but you didn't seem to panic at all. Down 3 possessions at one point in time before the squib kick and the end field goal that resulted from that. What was your mindset out there in trying to keep your guys focused? I saw you trying to settle everybody down at one point in time. How did they respond to your leadership there?
It's just bend, don't break. So we knew, like, facing that type of offense, we was going to be faced with a lot of challenges, and they did that, and we didn't play to our style, but we just had to settle down, and we just had to show what we could do, after adversity struck.
When you look at the running game, and obviously you've got guys that came back, some seniors that could have gone maybe and played at the next level. Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. Those guys ripped off some big runs all game long. The role that they played, not only just in this game, but throughout the season.
Yeah, fabulous leaders, first and foremost. I mean, those guys work so hard at what they do. They work hard at their trade. They're leaders on our team, powerful guys. And the O-line did a great job helping them, and Jake put them in the right play a lot.
Coach, you guys got the ball back with about 3 minutes to go. You got a freshman quarterback playing in one of the biggest game he's ever played in before. What'd you tell him before you went out there on that possession?
I didn't say a word to him. I didn't want to mess him up. I told him he had plenty of time. I think we had 2 timeouts at the time, so time was not an issue. Stay relaxed. And we had talked all game we even talked before the game about overtime. Thought that it might happen, 2 good teams, and we had talked about our plan of what we would do, and the kids really handled it well.
Roquan, and then, Coach, if you'd follow him on this, forget whoever you're playing next week. Forget it. You're walking in to the building in Atlanta to play for a national championship, an hour from home. What do you envision right now?
It's going to be crazy. It's, that's what we envision, and, that was our plan all year long, and just having our fan base and whatnot show up there to be a game in our backyard, and we're very excited.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to get a chance to play that close to home. With the travel situation we've got now, it's very unique that we got a 7-day turnaround. Last year was a 9-day turnaround. The advantage we have is that we're closer to home, but we got to get home. So.
Yes, and I know that's something you're about ready to go do.
Bye.
Yeah. But before you go, Coach, the go-ahead touchdown in overtime. Did you all have an idea that was a play that you could go to?
Well, we had worked those plays, and I thought that Jim called a great game. He stayed aggressive, and that was a run, the Wildcat run there that broke the game wide open.
How about Jake Fromm getting a block on the outside, little stock block from your quarterback there? Yeah, you have to go back and check out the tape. But unbelievable finish. And how about the swing of emotion there? You get the interception in the end zone, and then all of a sudden the offsides penalty strikes, but you get a chance to block the field goal at the end. As if you didn't have enough emotional swings in the game to have it come down at the end. What was the feeling like for you?
That was big, but we just had to keep our composure. Coach preached that all week. We had to keep our composure, and I felt like we did that throughout some tough moments throughout the game, and I'm just extremely proud of the guys.
I want to say something. There was a 3rd down and 3 play that brought up 4th and 1 where they ran a speed sweep, and this guy right here made a big-time play. And there's so many big-time plays, but that was a big-time play, and I'll remember it forever.
You guys made him a lot. The 3rd and 1s, couple of big stops in the 4th quarter and those overtimes on 3rd and 1s. Congratulations to both of you. Go home. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Georgia on to play for the national championship. The last title, of course, 1980. I don't need to say that. Every Dog fan knows it, but there's a chance now that the 2017 season could end with one in Atlanta, of all places.
Well, one down for the SEC. Will Alabama join the Dogs in Atlanta? The Big Easy. Calm before the chaos right now. Give it 30 more minutes of game time. It'll be rocking.
The stage is set. The Dogs determined for their day. The Tide out to defend the dynasty. The National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 8 on ESPN.
We're back in New Orleans. Things move pretty quickly here, especially the speed of both Alabama and Clemson. The $1 Million Band entertaining the fans here in the Superdome as the halftime show for these games. Usually lasts longer than the quarters. Let's grab a call or two here. Larry, a big Alabama fan from Alabama. Hey, Larry, how you doing? We already have Kirby Smart in the championship game. You worried about your Tide? You feel pretty good?
Woo! You know, we killed ourselves, Jack. But who's that down up in there with Joey Galloway? What's that guy that's always with him that played Florida? Who's his?
That's Jesse Palmer. He was here a couple hours ago.
Mr. Purdy Boy. Mr. Purdy Boy.
Well, he is a good. He was on The Bachelor.
He earned it.
Hey, Larry, not to interrupt New Year's Eve on January 1st, but do you have anything to say about this game?
Yeah, I got something to say, Jack. We killed ourselves. I mean, Bo Scarborough running like he got an anchor on his ass. Hey, put somebody in and got some speed, son. Turn the corner,
listen, I'm not coaching the game. I'm just talking about it. Hold on a second. Larry, Coach, we were talking about this earlier. Alabama is ahead.
Yeah.
Played a pretty good game. They should have had more points, but fans are unhappy.
Well, because all Alabama fans think they ought to be winning by 3 touchdowns right now, okay? And that's not realistic. What you got is you got an Alabama football team that's really, the game is unfolding basically the way they designed it. They're winning time of possession by 7 minutes. They're running the tailbacks. They're playing great defense. That's how Alabama wins games. So, I mean, you know, this is going to be a difficult game. Clemson is here for a reason, right?
Number one.
They're here for a reason.
This is so. If I'm Alabama right now and I'm sitting in the halftime locker room, I'm sitting there. I'm saying we should be winning this game by at least 17 points.
Right.
Because you missed the field goal at the end of the first half on an inexplicable delay of game. And look, Papanastos has been kind of hot and cold this year to begin with. And I think back to that flea flicker that was underthrown.
Oh, right.
I mean, that was a play that we haven't really talked a whole lot about. But that was an opportunity there to really put a hurting on what Clemson's doing offensively. Because if this game's a 17-point game right now as opposed to a 7, it's a totally different ball game. But there were 10 points at least left on the field for Alabama in that first half. So it's looked good, but man, it can look better. So that's a good thing, I think, going into the second half, knowing as though the plays are there, you just got to make them.
Let me say this. If you're an Alabama fan, first of all, this Clemson offense is explosive.
Right.
They've got 73 yards at halftime.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. So, yes, they've definitely squandered some opportunities. I think when you have a guy running wide open on the flea flicker and you miss him, that's disappointing.
Sure.
You miss the it was a gimme at halftime with a field goal, right?
Yeah.
For all intent and purposes. But they're calling the game exactly the way they need to call it, and I think it's a matter of time before this thing blows open.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break, come back, get more reaction from here, and then eventually start the second half. Live in New Orleans, halftime of the Sugar Bowl. The doctor, what's the Dr. Pepper trophy doing on Bourbon Street? That could be dangerous.
I imagine it's in safekeeping.
Yeah, I think it's in pretty good shape where it is, but I'm not sure what it's going to be like here in about 2 hours when Alabama fans and Clemson fans bleed onto the field. Nick Saban not worried about that right now. He's trying to get some production. Everyone here agrees, Greg and Coach Chiswick, Alabama's played a really good half, but he can't be happy about the point production, though.
Yeah, I think that's the key, though. Nick Saban loves this. I mean, this is what he relishes more than anybody else, is that, okay, yeah, that was dominant, but there were teachable moments throughout the first 30 minutes that he was able to address at halftime, saying, well, we didn't do this well, we didn't do this well, and we could have had this. So he's always trying to teach and coach without having to have negative outcomes or negative situations to draw from. So a positive half for sure. And if you're Clemson coach, I think you have to feel decent because things went about as bad as they possibly could from an offensive production standpoint, and yet it's only a one-score game.
Right, and again, if you're Dabo in the opposite locker room, that's what you're saying. You're saying, look, I'm not sure we could have played much worse.
Yeah.
And this is a one-touchdown game right now. Right. And again, what we do know about Clemson that is scary is they have great quick strike capabilities.
Right.
And we know that. You got it at the quarterback position. You got it at the tailback position. You got those wideouts out there with Deion Kane and you know, some of these other guys that can make plays between Ray McLeod. So look, the game is this is going to be a great second half.
I think it is too.
But I really like, again, I'm going to go back on the record and say I like the way the game plan has been at least attempted by Alabama. And again, if you look at it, Jalen Hurts has completed 77% of his passes.
Yeah.
That's big.
Big.
Now, he's got to hit some more down the field, but that's big.
Sure.
They've controlled the time of possession.
It's worth pointing out last year Alabama led 14-7 at half, extended the lead to 17-7, later led 24-14, and then we all know what happened late in that game.
I don't remember.
You were sitting right next to me.
I
remember you not remembering.
I refuse to acknowledge or remember what transpired in the second half, Paul, especially that of the fourth quarter.
Well, you know, those losses right there that we show on the screen, 101-4 when leading by 7. I think Coach Chiswick may remember one of those as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one either. I don't remember that one either.
But, you know, Paul, to your point, I think this is where it's going to be really important that Alabama substitutes on the defensive front.
Right.
And really has a great strategy doing that, because I think, again, you can go back to last year's game and realizing that, yes, it turned into a 99-play game in terms of how many plays Clemson ran, and quite frankly, Alabama got worn down at the end of the game. And so you should see a great substitution pattern with these guys moving forward.
Oh, fumble on the first play. Bad exchange on the zone read.
And that's something that couldn't happen. And again, this is the first turnover of the game either way.
Yeah.
And these are game changers, as we all know.
This was indecisive right here. It looked like Jalen, upon first look, was going to give it to Damian Harris. He tries to pull it real late right there. You see him pull it. Sometimes when you are doing that zone read, once that ball gets outside of your framework, so think of your frame, your body like a door frame. Right. And if you're letting it get outside the framework of your body, it has to be an automatic give right there. It looked like Jalen tried to pull late, or
no, that did. You're exactly right, G. It looked like he tried to pull it late. And again, those are the hazards of the zone read, right? I mean, there's some good things and there's some hazards to it as well.
Imperative for Clemson to try to score a touchdown here. By far their best field position in the game.
Coach Chiswick, you spend the whole halftime getting your team ready to play, and how do you react to that if you're on the sideline?
Well, again, I think you get your defense basically gathered up and say, hey, guys, this is another great opportunity to prove who you are and what you what you are, and this defense isn't panicking. Again, you saw them play great on first down right here, and you know, this is a defense, if you love playing the game like these guys do, you thrive on opportunities to go out there and prove who and what you are. Coming off blocks, making plays, there you go, there's 2 in a row. And again, this is what we said early in the first half. Alabama dictated the tempo of the game by the way they were playing defense, getting off blocks, running to the football. And this is going to be a huge third down play for Alabama's defense.
Jeremy Pruitt up there, the new Tennessee coach. That's for another day, though.
Man, just a massive first and second down sequence right there from Alabama. Sudden change, red zone, and 2 consecutive negative plays to give Kelly Bryant a very difficult
and Coach Mason.
2-man right here. You might see a quarterback draw.
I think they're running too many twists inside. It seems like every time that they empty out the backfield, they've got some sort of twist in game going on in the inside to really try to shrink any of those quarterback draw lanes.
Yeah.
And again, that's a huge stop for Alabama's defense. That's 3 and out.
Right.
Derek Mason back with his coach. What a pretty big stand here for Alabama's defense after that fumble.
Oh, no question. I mean,
massive.
If you look at Alabama, Alabama's been, aggressive. They've been physical. I mean, they've been able to, make some things, happen. And really, when you talk about, Greg Pruitt, you got to give him, a lot of props because, this defense is playing really out of their mind right now. And, in a game like this, that's exactly what you need.
I'll tell you what I've been impressed with, and I'm sitting here is right in the middle of 2 defensive masterminds. I'm really impressed because in a bowl season and in a long 4-week layoff, tackling is the first thing that goes, right?
Yes.
It's brutal
to
try to tackle. And yet Alabama, for instance, right there, Minka Fitzpatrick in the open field, several times in the open field, Alabama's been able to rally and bring that first defender's been able to bring down the ball carrier. It's impressive to see how well they're tackling tonight.
Well, you talk about pure fundamentals, and that's the one thing that you always worry about with a long layoff. You worry about, can guys, come to balance, go and 2 through and beyond contact in the open field. But, what we've seen from Alabama in their secondary and their backers is that, they haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive when you are talking about time off.
Yeah, it really is.
Practice tackling in bowl season?
You better believe it, man. What do you think me and Derek Mason do in bowl season?
Come on, man. Shorts and shoulders. Shorts and shoulders.
Well, I will say this. Nick's always been about fundamentals.
Yeah.
He always had, and it's just very rare that you ever see his team ever really tackle poorly.
Yeah.
But if there is a time, it's a month layoff that you have to worry about it. But obviously tonight, that's not something that...
Greg, here we are. Clemson creeping back into this game, but big possession here for Alabama to try to... they got away with 3, but the gap is closed now.
Yeah, and obviously that was a pretty good job by the defense, holding them because a field goal is a win in a game like this, and especially in sudden change in your own red zone. But I think this is going to be interesting. Jalen Hurts, really the first error that he's made tonight. I think he's played very well within the scheme. A couple missed opportunities. But how does he bounce back? Jalen Hurts is as poised a young man as you'll find. And right here, this is battling back from adversity. And what does Brian Dable do to get him back on track? Is it a quick completion? Is him carrying the ball as a ball carrier? What are they going to here? I would think that they try to stretch zone here at some point off the right edge.
Yeah, I think it's a great call.
Oh,
nice boot off it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good, though. They try to give a nice, easy completion.
Right.
Hey, that last play, that fumble, it's in the past. We called those G-bot plays. Get back on track.
Well, and again, he came off the boot action. There wasn't anything open. He didn't try to do anything, forcing the ball. You absolutely can't afford to have 2 turnovers in a row.
Right.
You eat it and live for the next down.
Take a look at Clemson. Clemson, a lot of movement, stemming, up front, just trying to provide different looks.
Right.
For Alabama, and that's
an active front, man.
It is.
Yeah. Clemson, too, in this situation, they are tough. 3rd and 7, obvious passing situation. This is where Clemson comes to get you. And this is why Auburn had 11 sacks earlier in the game. Obvious passing situations. These pass rushers can tee off. They screen them.
They're pressuring him, that's for sure. They're bringing it, and they're heating him up. And again, this is a little bit of the problem you saw in the Auburn game. On third downs, he really had a hard time. Jalen Hurts had a hard time setting his feet and making the decision and throwing the football. And they're not giving him time in that game. They weren't giving him time to set his feet. And obviously right there, they're not giving him time to set his feet, and that becomes a problem.
Right.
And so now you got to decide how many guys you want to protect with, how many guys you want to get out on routes.
They tried to screen him there. I mean, that was a slow, delayed screen where you fake it to the left and roll back around to the right. I don't think Jalen could see him because it looked like there was some room for Scarborough down the right side, didn't it?
Greg, we heard a lot about Tua before the game. Do you think we'll see him?
No, I think Jalen's played well at this point. I think Tua would have definitely had a role if Jalen came out of the gates a little slow and it became an obvious passing situation because Tua is an elite passer. But I think Jalen's done enough to this point to warrant that he's definitely in control of the game and control of the situation and has done a good job of handling the emotions of the game.
We're back to New Orleans. Third quarter, Alabama holding on. Welcome back to the film room as we watch the game with you. Jalen Hurts has not been a great second half. The fumble and then failing to get Alabama going. Coach Mason, Coach Chizik, and Greg McElroy. What happens next, Greg?
You know, I think obviously Jalen's just got to settle in there. I mean, he did a great job in the first half, I think, handling the situations, being efficient with his arm. Wasn't asked to do a ridiculous amount, especially on throws down the field. He did miss, obviously, the flea flicker that would have resulted in a touchdown. But for the most part, I think he's stayed within the framework of the offense, which is what they want. To put in someone else at this point, I think, would be mismanagement because Jalen has handled the emotions and the situation of the game, and to put in a quarterback, a true freshman at that, who's never played in a game with this much stakes, this much on the line, would be a big mistake.
Coach, you said Clemson very explosive.
Yeah, and again, this is one of their most explosive guys. Deion Kaney's got range. He's got speed. He's definitely got the big strike capability. And again, if Alabama goes to a one-high defense where they know that he's exposed on the perimeter as a possible one-on-one shot, you're going to see this some more.
Coach Mason, we talk a lot about Mo. You feel it changing here?
You know, just a little bit. Opportunity for a shot. Great defense.
Great defense.
Yeah, you talk about needing to make plays. You know, I mean, that's what's got to happen in this ball game. You know, when you look at it, Alabama's got to make some plays. On the back end because when you look at Clemson, they do have guys like Kane who can go up. I mean, they're big, long catch radius. And believe me, Brian's going to give him an opportunity, but Brian's got to take more shots like that down the field to give.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see him. Yeah, I think you're going to see him too, Derek. I really do. That was 2 in a row right there.
It was well blocked.
Well blocked.
Very well blocked.
As you can see on the perimeter, just having trouble getting off blocks. I mean, that's one of those things when you talk about setting edges. If you set edges, it's hard to get on the perimeter. There, when they got a body on the body, they will pick up a first down.
And now third down and very manageable too. And you can run it or throw it here. I mean, whatever you feel like. And as a quarterback and as a play caller, that is a great situation to be in. Well, that play looks familiar, doesn't it? Little sprint right, the same one that gave Clemson the championship a year ago. A little sprint right Q8, sprint right option.
And just when you think you have Bryant pulled up, he sticks his cleats in the ground, then makes a cut, makes 1 or 2 miss, and then at 6'4", he can fall forward for a first down when it's 3rd and 2. And again, that was a huge conversion for these guys to keep the chains moving.
I think the first time we've seen a decent crease.
Right.
Just on the inside zone. For the most part, that's been bottled up, Coach.
It has. We've been seeing a lot of the D linemen getting off the blocks up front, two-gapping and just beating guards and centers.
Wow. What a pass rush right there. Man.
We're talking about momentum, Coach. That's not what we were talking about, though.
Well, I'll tell you.
And they're going to get 15 more on the end because I think that it's going to be a horse collar there on the tackle. How about that pass rush off the right edge?
Well, you know, again, if you look at Alabama, and we talked about it earlier, they're gonna make some hay coming off the corners and coming off the edges. They got so much speed. But if you look at turnovers for Alabama since 2015, this is their 71st turnover.
During the return, personal foul, horse collar tackle, Clemson team, number 73.
Let's hear from the voice of the Crimson Tide describe one of the biggest plays, if not the biggest so far in this game.
With the running back to his right, keeps him in for blocking. Here comes the hit. Intercepted Alabama. Intercepted by the Tides. Deron Payne. Payne down the near side. Payne's got it inside the 45 to the 43 as Bryant was hit. There's a flag on the play now. A flag down at the point of the tackle. But Kelly Bryant was hit just as he threw, and Deron Payne picks up the football and runs it back. But let's see, was there a horse collar tackle? Let's see what they're going to call.
We're back to live action here. And guys, just when you thought that everything was going Clemson's way, here comes Alabama. That was a little bit like what we saw last year, Greg, from that Alabama defense.
I mean, just a great job by Anthony Jennings coming off the right edge, just running right around Sean Morris and getting a huge collision with Kelly Bryant as he's releasing the football. I mean, that's what Alabama's defense has done, though, man. Opportunistic plays. Maybe not as many this year as we've seen in recent years, but that one right there, none bigger. And if I'm Brian Dable, I'm going to try to dial something up downfield here. Yeah, I mean, you got sudden change. You have a lot of momentum. They opt to run it on the first one. They try to go with quick game on the second one. Now you're in a tough spot. 3rd and 6-ish.
Yeah, he wanted the tight end on that option route, and then he wanted the stick, and then the backer jumped it, and he had to pull it down. But going back to Alabama's defense, 71 turnovers forced since 2015, and 16 of those touchdowns.
It's amazing.
That's unbelievable numbers. And again, that's why they can turn the game around quickly just with their defense and the plays that they make.
Greg, what do you see?
I see 5 guys across, which is going to put Alabama's offensive line on islands, and it's going to get you free rushers right there. You see Jalen Hurts having to lose it quickly to his side adjust on the left-hand side because they had pressure off the edge. It's a good job by Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator, of recognizing the protection strength and the protection weakness and getting a free hitter, and also a good job of Jalen Hurts knowing where his problems are.
Yeah.
Problem on the left-hand side, quick outlet over there. Now you make a decision. 4th and 1, you have every opportunity to potentially go for it. Looks like that's what Alabama's going to do.
I think this is the right call.
I agree.
I think this is the right call. I think this is a statement down. They got into this right before halftime. They missed a field goal. They jumped off sides. Or, I mean, they had to delay a game.
Here.
I think they're going to hand it to Damon Harris.
You thought right.
Well done. Going
Great call.
He was Superman there.
Hey, great call and the right call.
Yeah.
100% the right call. That's a statement right there. It's 4th and 1. I believe in you, offensive line. I believe in you being able to knock them off the ball for 1 yard or
it's a no-brainer, too, especially Papanassis having missed the one right before half. You're not going to go back to that well.
No question about it. I mean, your defense is playing well. There was no reason for them not to go for that.
There it is. Play action. Ridley. Oh, man. It's a good call right there.
Little RPO.
Little mag RPO, yeah.
RPO, slanted 2.
And now Alabama's in fastball mode. Run it here.
Inside zone.
Almost bobbled the snap there again between the handoff. I think it's 4 down territory, Coach. What do you think?
No doubt.
No doubt, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Unless this is a significant loss, 3-4 yard loss, it's 4 down territory. So you got 3 to get it, right?
You thinking run-pass option.
I'm thinking get him out on the perimeter, yeah. But you bring in the big guys right now. You see the jumbo package coming in. Deron Payne, 94, coming in the game. Looks like Quinnen Williams is in there also. So big bodies up front, extra linemen. This might just be a full surge. There it is. To Deron Payne.
Wow.
Create and you shall receive. He gets the big turnover. A few plays ago, they throw him on a little spider too, out into the flat, and reward the big fella. That's a great, great sequence.
If you take a look at it, I mean, obviously, when you bring bigs on the field, you think for the most part, when you're going to get some type of lead,
sure,
you have a downhill run, and you wind up getting spider pass.
Now I need to go back and watch every single jumbo package snap. I bet you that's the first one they put this year.
I bet you.
I think it is. I can't remember them all, but I would imagine if I were to go back through, that's the first throw out of their jumbo that we've seen. Timely, I would say, wouldn't you say?
Let's hear how Eli Gold described that from Learfield.
Hurts under center. He rolls right. He'll throw wide open. Deron Payne, touchdown, Alabama. My goodness, he recovers an interception and runs it, and now catches a touchdown pass. Deron Payne.
Well, I know they vote for the Heisman right after the regular season, but they have an award called the Heisman for the big heavies, and Deron Payne would qualify.
Eli Gold and Phil Savage. We welcome back Tim Tebow, bringing Alabama
Thanks
some pretty
so
good
much,
luck
Paul. I appreciate it. Thanks for welcoming me back. It's better than my send-off last time.
Yeah.
Well, that was. I have atoned for that. Welcome back. What did you see in this little series here, Tim, as Alabama goes ahead in this game?
Well, I think that Brian Daboll's been dialing it up all day. I think the one thing that they're missing offensively right now is the intermediate passing game, but everything else, they're really being able to dial it up. And Damian Harris, by the way, I mean, his vert is something serious on that 4th and 1. I like it. Should have picked him for Freak of the Week.
That was solid. It
Still
really
time.
was.
There's still time. Hey, how about my Freak of the Year, Lorenzo Carter? Got the game-winning block. Oh. Did you see how high he got off the ground?
He blocked the field goal?
Yeah.
I'm messing with you.
I was like, Greg, you always know these things.
No. Yeah, that was ridiculous. And he's every bit of 6'6". I mean, he is.
His athleticism is so ridiculous.
He's a stud at 6'6".
We digress.
We digress.
Anyway, things have certainly changed, and we have a long way to go in this game. Alabama had a big lead last year. I know that has haunted them for 51 weeks. But this feels totally different, Coach Mason.
Different Clemson team. I mean, when you look at it, you know, Watson a year ago, you know, such a gamer.
Right.
Had been in that situation before. Here with Bryant, you're talking about a younger quarterback who really doesn't quite have, you know, the vertical passing game, the feel, you know, for what's happening, and really right now experience on the side.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this thing is about, being big in big moments.
And you don't see the combination routes that you saw last year, right? You saw the switch release seams with the stops, and you saw the dig routes and the tight ends on crossing routes. And right now, it's, there's a couple play action crossers, but for the most part, it's fades or nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And I just think against Alabama, you have to have more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, too, this is not a Clemson team that thrives playing from behind. I think last year's Clemson team, obviously with the passing game, with Deshaun Watson's experience, like you alluded to, Coach, that was a team that was better built to play in that situation.
Correct.
This
No
one,
question.
however,
no question.
This one is built absolutely to play with the lead, a significant lead at that.
And then go get after the passer.
Yeah, when it becomes a pass-first situation, they own you.
Yeah.
And this one, however, is a little bit different animal with what their offense is featured.
Well, you think about it last year. When it was man-to-man, we have Mike Williams on a skinny post or a comeback or a go. When it's split safety, we have Hunter Renfrow, Jordan Leggett working the inside. They're kind of, they don't have the ability to work all of that anymore.
Yeah.
It's either Deion Kane or Hunter Renfrow, but now they're jamming Hunter, and it's not.
Interesting decision there on the run out. About a yard in. Looked like he hesitated, too.
one more time. That's how it all got set up. Deron Payne. That's kind of the show. We are going to take a short break. We're back live to New Orleans as we are creeping our way through the third quarter. Alabama leading. The river outside of where we are.
The old river, Paul.
Old man river.
What river is that? It's the river close to where we're at.
It's the Mississippi River.
It's by the bridge and the stuff.
You got Lake Pontchartrain and the Mississippi all colliding in New Orleans, and that's where we are. Coach Mason's hanging in with us. This is tough work, isn't it?
You know
Sitting
what? I
around
tell you
watching
what.
football?
I'm sitting here with pros, so for me, it's just good. It's just good to be around great minds. I mean, I'm just sitting here taking it all in and watching some good football.
Well, we appreciate you saying
Tim,
that.
So here we are. Alabama got the momentum back again, Greg.
I think this is a very, very important drive for Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
A huge drive, because right now, look, the 20 minutes of game left. There's still plenty of time if you're Clemson. That's what I'm telling my teammates as I go onto the field. Plenty of time. We're going to run what we run, but we got to get in a rhythm offensively.
But they got to turn the mo. You know, if they go 3 and out here, then Alabama has more momentum, and momentum is the most dangerous thing in college football.
Absolutely.
They have to be able to turn this thing. Turn the tide.
I get it.
Oh.
Another
that
turnover.
doesn't help.
Touchdown.
Mac Wilson to the house. Did he get it in?
Yes.
Looked like he extended it. What a play.
Rolling on the field is interception.
That's just great coverage on the outside, man.
It is.
I mean, great coverage.
You watch it, challenge the route, flatten the receiver. The receiver comes inside.
Right.
He's not able to find it. Ball gets tipped.
And if you're an offensive coordinator, if I'm Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott, who are co-offensive coordinators at Clemson, I'm thinking I'm dialing up a safe slant.
Yeah.
What bad can happen? And sure enough, Kelly Bryant actually throws it accurately. Defender gets a hand on the ball, winds up in the awaiting hands of Mac Wilson, and he takes it to the pylon for pay dirt.
The worst things that can happen on the inside throws are tips.
Yeah.
Tips and overthrows.
Right.
That's exactly what you get here, a tip ball.
Coach, I'd love to get your thoughts on one of the best defensive minds out there on Alabama's scheme. And since 2008, they've been consistently the best defense in college football. Right. And yes, they have great talent. They have great athletes. But also, they have a great scheme. Can you talk a little bit about what they do and why it's been able to be so successful?
Well, when you look at what they do a great job of stopping the run, putting you in third and long situations, and generally when that happens, everybody works on like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5. Nobody works on 3rd and 7+. And when you do, for those safeties to be able to sit back and read quarterbacks' eyes, and that's what they allow those safeties to do. The safeties, the robbers, the nickel backs, and really even the backers. They sit back, they play true vision defense, and now what you have are guys that are fast, that are closing passing lanes. And when you can have corners that can cover outside to match coverage, and then the backers and safeties closing lanes, it makes it extremely tough to be able to throw any quick game or any intermediate game. And that's what you see.
That was Alabama's second defensive touchdown this year. Last year they had 11.
Yeah.
And but that may have been the most important one of this season.
Right.
Massive. And maybe on the biggest offensive drive for Clemson of the entire season. Alabama squashes the bug on one play. And not only do they squash the bug, force a turnover, they get sudden change points. Just defensive touchdowns are so difficult to overcome. Going back out on the field, it's hard. It's so hard to seize momentum because the Alabama fans in the Superdome right now are feeling it. And now it becomes a little bit like a road game environment for Kelly Bryant and Clemson's offense.
Tell you what, that's a good run by Kelly Bryant.
Was
a tough runner.
I tell you what, this is. You watch Alabama, and this is really, similar to what we saw like in the second half, like with Georgia.
Yeah.
Just making adjustments. Okay, they actually go ahead and jump it back out, back goes out, backers bump, safety rotates down, get him in for a 5-yard gain. I mean, you'll take it every time.
Every time.
Strong run support.
Nice.
Getting off blocks. This is football 101.
Yeah.
Defensive football 101. Getting off blocks, setting edges, being strong in run support.
Great communication.
Yeah. I mean,
Deontay Thompson right there at 14, he showed up a couple times tonight. He's playing a bigger role with Hootie Jones being out. He's done a nice job, I think, filling in.
Good-looking athlete, isn't he?
Yeah, he's long. Yeah, he's real long. And Alabama secondary's long in general. Everyone's about 6'1", 6'2". Man, it's loud. It's loud in the Superdome right now.
Wow.
You get it?
It's going to be even louder next week in Atlanta if this holds up.
Just when you thought the SEC was dead and gone, and like Coach Saban would say, dead, buried, and gone. It's,
well, a lot of the critics were crowing today when things weren't going well in a couple of games, but I forgot these were the most important.
Big sack.
He's got no time.
He might have had a chance to, on the crossing route, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
I tell you, Alabama continues to rotate through, up front. So what you're seeing, fresh D linemen. I mean, they're getting pressure off the edges. They're getting the quarterback off the spot. And anytime you can get the quarterback off the spot, it makes it extremely tough for him to get his eyes back down the field.
And they're winning matchups.
They are.
You got a tight end who's blocking Deshaun Hand. That's a big difference. It's a 40-pound weight differential, and he's able to just ride him right into the back of Kelly Bryant.
Now they just sit in this combination coverage and make your quarterback's life just a nightmare.
Yeah, now they tee it up. 3rd and long.
3rd and long. They're going to be in combination coverage. They're going to have 4 pretty fresh defensive linemen coming to get you.
And eyes on the quarterback.
Bring in a little pressure.
Rush 5.
Wow.
Rush 5, and Kelly Bryant was completely unprepared for it. And this offensive line is getting worked.
Well, that's tough, too. I mean, when you look at the distribution.
Totally.
You have one over the center, okay? I mean, you have guys wide.
Yep.
And so now when they run pick stunts or pick games inside and create matchups, it's extremely tough for those guys to hang one-on-one like that. That's tough.
Yeah, they're having a tough time passing off those inside twists. That's hard. I mean, they have no answer right now for what Alabama's bringing 5, and that's a rush, that's a pressure, that's a blitz, but I mean, they're getting home quickly.
They are.
And they have blockers for them, and that's really disheartening if you're an offense.
And Tim, I got to go back a little bit. I mean, you asked what makes this defense, so good. I tell you what, just watching what they do, it sort of builds off, one play to the next. I mean, they get you behind the chains, and they continue to get you behind the chains, and then all of a sudden on 3rd down, and you're getting an exotic look up front with tight coverage on the back end, with robbing safeties that are looking at your quarterback throw the football.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's really good football. I mean, it's good X's and O's, but it's better about knowing your personnel and having those guys on the field that can execute.
Let's go back and listen. One of the biggest plays of this season, maybe in a long time, the pick 6, Eli Gold, earlier on the Alabama Radio Network.
Gets the snap from Falcinelli. He'll look right and throw right. Knocked away, intercepted Alabama. Mack Wilson, he's to the left side. He's going to take it in. Touchdown, Alabama. The pass was deflected, picked up by Mack Wilson, and the young man from Montgomery's Carver High School begins to squeeze like that boa constrictor. And Alabama's up 23-6.
Well, that's a squeeze and a laceration for Alabama against this Clemson.
And that was a matchup we pointed out earlier in the game. Levi Wallace against Deion Kane. And really, Deion Kane's had a couple opportunities where he's been able to create. I think he has 3 catches. He's got a handful of targets, though. And that play right there, getting that hand in, Levi Wallace, former walk-on. Alabama, by the way, since Nick Saban's been there, has not had a starting corner that started his career as a walk-on. Corner, they've had safeties, but not corners. And to think what Levi Wallace's career started like and what he's developed into with a lot of hard work and persistence is really a testament to everything that he's done.
Let's go back a couple of drives and think about where this game could have been if they don't get that interception. Right? It's 10-6. Clemson has the momentum.
It's a game.
They're rolling.
Right.
I mean, this is a completely different game if they get a field goal or a touchdown, or just keep the momentum.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's Alabama's MO. Offense isn't doing that much, but they're able to find a way to get it done, to get the momentum, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Pick six again. Offense is going to take the field for the first time, and now we're looking at trying to run this thing out.
Yeah, you're definitely thinking clock now.
And Coach, let me ask you, because I mean, it looks like it's over. We've seen this movie before, but as a coach, what are you doing on the sidelines to your players on the Alabama sidelines?
I'm just talking to our players about continuing to be hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, every series is a new series. There's a saying within that program, the Alabama program, everything is 4th and goal.
Yeah.
And that's where this team is playing right now. They're playing hungry. I mean, they're playing like there's something on it, and it's fun to watch.
And what if you're Clemson, Coach? You down 17? I know it's always cliche. Hey, we're going to take it one play at a time, right? We're going to get back into this one score at a time, one drive at a time. Yeah. But obviously, you got to be pretty dejected the way things have gone in the second half.
Well, you look at Clemson, and right now they got to stop the bleeding. You look at what's happening. Okay, it's okay. 3-yard run, not bad.
Right.
Okay, but what do we do on second down and making sure that they get off the field? They need a series stop.
Sure.
They need a series stop, and they need to get the football back.
You see Alabama with Bo Scarborough in the game, big back late in the game.
If you're Alabama, you had a chance to run 28 more seconds off the clock there. I know you want to be aggressive, but
I'm okay with it right there. I don't know why you threw it so hard. 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You still got to catch that.
Yeah, you got to catch it. Come on, we're quarterbacks. You got to catch it. Come on. It's a good throw to me. Just fastball. It was well thrown. He had room, too. That could have been a big play.
We're going to have one-on-one.
It's a good job by Jalen.
Great job.
Really good job running in the open field. Clemson able to get a free rusher on the late Green Dog by number 47, James Skalski. But
the old Green Dog.
The old Green Dog, it'll get you every time. Unless you see it, in which you can move. Shot play. You catch it? And another downfield passing opportunity, just a little low on this one. I like the decision, though. First,
I do too.
Fresh set.
Yeah,
plus
I like
territory,
the play call. I like Jalen's patience with it.
Yeah.
Just got to be a little bit more accurate with it.
Sure. I like the timeliness of calling a play, though. Calling that play down the field. Plus 40, a lot of momentum. That's the dagger.
He actually might have had a shot at the post, too.
I think he did.
It was late, but he had a shot.
Never be late over the middle, though. Good job. It's a nice play. Cleveland Farrell. Really nice play.
Second half, Jalen's been pretty good at being able to feel the rush.
Right.
And just push the G2 button and take off and go.
Yeah, he's done a good job. He really has. I mean, he hasn't sat and waited on things too long. I mean, right there, nothing you can do.
No.
Concede defeat if your line
open rusher.
If your own line loses like that. But I think Jalen's been very solid tonight. He really has. Now, there's been moments when I'm sure he would like to have had a play back here and there, but for the most part, I mean, if I'm going to describe his performance tonight to this point, through 3 quarters almost, I would describe it as very, very solid and efficient.
Right.
Lester Cotton, the right guard.
Hate to see this.
For Alabama down on the play. I didn't get a chance to see it. I don't know if he got rolled up, but.
And you also got to think if, depending on how serious this is, and Alabama continues to roll in this game, how it affects them next week.
Oh, sure. No, absolutely. The injury is a big part of Alabama's narrative this year. I mean, my 12 years of having played and covered the team and been a fan of the team for the 3 years in the league, but I don't think I've ever seen an Alabama team been as snake bit by injuries. I mean, this group really has had a tough time. They've lost Pierschbacher at times. They've lost some pieces, obviously, on defense at linebacker specifically. Inside linebacker down the stretch, really struggling to fill those voids, losing even a couple more in the bowl season with Dylan Moses and him being unavailable because of a foot injury. I mean, Alabama this year, Tim, it feels like they have had some very unlucky breaks over the course of the season, but tonight on the biggest stage, it doesn't appear to be raising its ugly head.
It's nice to see big fella walk off.
I don't want to speculate, but that's a good sign, though.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. Well, it's 11:30 Eastern time, and we're still in the third quarter.
It's okay, Paul.
Coach and I have a flight in about 2 hours. So that's what we're on.
I know it's past your bedtime.
It is pretty late.
It has been a long day, but a long day filled with football is a
good
day. It's a great way to start the year.
Think about some of the games that have happened today. It's incomprehensible.
Great football. Yeah. That's why college football is just...
It's the best.
It's the best.
It is.
Get it out of your hands.
It's a great job making something out of nothing.
I wonder how much they're going to give him on that.
I don't know. It's tough to tell where he went out specifically. Wasn't much there. Free hitter off the right edge.
I'll tell you this. Brent Venables is doing a great job of dialing up pressure. He hasn't got enough credit. His defense has played really well in this game.
Yeah, when you see the mix of looks, and I just continue to keep seeing it as you do, Tim, when you look at what he's doing, I mean, he's bringing it strong, he's bringing it weak, he's bringing it from 3 down looks, 4 down looks.
On the other side, Coach, let's talk about Jeremy Pruitt for a second.
Yeah.
He's throwing a pretty good game as well.
Yes, he is.
No doubt.
Obviously, that Tennessee job hasn't distracted him too.
I would say that's safe to assume. He's done a tremendous job preparing for this game tonight. You guys are playing extremely well on that side of the football, and it looks like after what looks like might be a punt here on 4th and 8 for Alabama, that defense has a chance to go out again with Clemson deep in their own territory.
There he is. Knoxville will have to wait a week if this holds up.
I don't think he minds.
I think he'll be all right. That job will be there. And remember, I mean, Kirby Smart, similar situation 2 years ago.
And Greg, it was a year ago today that Lane Kiffin left Alabama's program, and he's back. He's in the stadium tonight, in case anybody's wondering.
He is. And has been there all day the last couple days.
Working for ESPN.
Yeah, working for ESPN, and I do think that's a testament to Jeremy. I mean, it's not easy to balance the time and frankly the awkwardness, considering you are recruiting against Alabama actively. I mean, that's not easy. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could be distracted by, and
they're probably their second biggest rival.
And I think that there were distractions.
No doubt.
2 years ago after the Michigan State game, and we'll hear probably about them next week. As Kirby and Nick spend a lot of time together.
Right, and I know the defense didn't perform real well in the national championship game 2 years ago against Clemson, but I think if you're going to look at how they've played tonight, they've been very dialed in. They've had an answer for every curveball that Clemson's thrown at them. They've played very tight coverage. As you can tell, they were dialed into the routes, and they had a beat on what type of routes were coming. They've had free hitters when they've tried to pressure them. I mean, they've done a good job stunting up front to create a lot of misdirection and picks, and and loops and things like that up front. I mean, Timmy, this is
it's dominating.
This is Alabama 101, though. I mean, this is Nick Saban said over the last 4 weeks, I feel like we've gotten away from our identity. That's, quote, exactly what he said. And this is a vintage Alabama performance.
It really is.
It really is.
It really is.
Well, it looks like.
And even with also with being pretty conservative offensively and being able to, when you get opportunities, take them. But at the same time, Jalen's doing a great job of not forcing anything.
Yeah.
And if he's uncomfortable, if he doesn't see it well, tuck it. We'll take this at.
You got a 17, 18-point lead. You're in a great spot. I mean, it's almost, maybe I'm just being a prisoner of the moment and a prisoner of the location, Paul, but this defensive performance resembles that, maybe not quite as dominant, but similar to what we saw between Alabama and LSU in 2011, doesn't it?
Very, very true.
I mean, limiting what is a potent offense.
Same field.
Same stadium. I mean, that probably has something to do with it, but it feels a little similar.
And that was an all-SEC championship game, and we may have that again. No, very likely will. I've already had 15 requests for tickets. If you guys have any for next week.
You know everybody. That's no problem for you, man.
The only person
in Atlanta? That's like your second home, man. You got that.
And of course, Kirby Smart right now flying back, going, I got to play Nick Saban.
What a storyline, though, right?
Yeah.
If that happens.
It's amazing.
He's 11-0 against former assistants and pretty much against everyone else as well.
What a storyline.
Nick Saban would want me to tell you that there's still 14 minutes and 53 seconds.
And there is, and we've been here before.
Paul's already lining.
Paul, we know it's your hopes and dreams.
Paul's already lining up the topics on tomorrow's show.
Yeah.
I think the topic's going to be Auburn, which will have beaten both teams in the championship game. Is going to be sitting at home going, how did this happen?
Yeah, after just being
UCF
handed
should
a
have been
loss
in there.
by UCF.
They probably should.
I'll tell you what. You got to give Scott Frost a lot of credit.
Yeah,
It was so impressive what they did.
That was an incredible win.
I'm really looking forward to hearing that we need an expanded playoff talk.
Oh, you'll get it
tomorrow.
And if Clemson comes back and wins, Greg, you and I will be the poster child, like we were last year of YouTube.
Totally.
You see what they just went to right there?
Yeah.
The switch release and the stop off of it?
Yeah.
That killed Alabama last year.
They haven't had the time, though, early in the game.
They don't have the time.
The pass rush was getting home.
Yeah.
Now, Alabama's sitting back a little bit more. Got to think here.
It's too early to sit back.
They get another
aggressive.
hurt. Well, right there. Boom.
Clemson's up to 118 yards total offense here.
Tell you what, that's Levi Wallace, and yeah, people will say he kind of got run over, but what did he do? His job.
Made the tackle.
Again and again and again. He just does his job.
Solo tackle. That's all you see in the
Chalk
sports.
it up.
That's all you see in the
Solo
sports
tackle.
almanac. Solo tackle, right, Coach?
I tell you what, it still goes in the stat column.
That's it. That's it.
And you know, you'll know better than I will, Greg, but we'll Saban say, hey, good job. You did your job.
Yeah. Where's the Heat? They got a beat on what they're doing offensively. I mean, they got the zone read. They bring pressure off that right-hand side, and they fill inside. I mean, they know what's coming. I mean, they are dialed in defensively. They really are. And I know it's still first down, but they know what's coming. They got a good anticipation of
The ruling on the
the
field is
offensive
a runner
plays.
made to line to gain. However, the play is under further review.
I'm an offense. I can't stand this review, even as a defense. I mean, if I'm offense right now, and I know you want to get it right, I get that. You got a little momentum, you're
Look
driving,
at
you got a
that.
little rhythm. You know, this call's going to stand. I mean, it's too difficult to overturn a spot foul. I don't know.
You're watching the film room, and we're heading to the fourth quarter.
Oh.
You're in New Orleans.
The old pond, Paul.
That's the big pond out there. Welcome back to the film room. This was a play of the year in college football. Well, maybe this was.
The sequence of the year for sure. There's no disputing that. Sony Michel breaks free to the outside for the walk-off winner.
Look at Kirby Smart's second year as a head coach.
Amazing.
Holding up the Rose Bowl trophy.
Just amazing.
Meanwhile, last year's champion on the ropes here, Coach Chizik rejoins us. Coach, what are you seeing right now?
Well, I'm seeing an epic game plan unfold exactly the way Alabama wanted it to and the way they drew it up. And again, it's smothering defense. It's physical offense.
Yeah.
Turnovers, which Alabama's thrived on over the whole course of their existence under Nick.
Right.
You know, again, I mean, it's turnovers. It's turning those into touchdowns. And Mack Wilson comes back. He's banged up. He's up. Now he's healthy.
Wow.
And he's probably, I think he's their leading interceptor as a linebacker in terms of picks on the year. Another Alabama touchdown on defense, kind of same story. We've seen it happen before, and tonight I think it's unfolding exactly the way they planned it.
Totally agree, Coach. I really think, I mean, this is a vintage Alabama performance.
It really is.
I mean, this is the Alabama, this was the system and the program that I grew up in. This is the system that we haven't seen as much of in the last couple of years. More spread, maybe more offensive. But, man, this is what we've come to know and expect from Alabama under Nick Saban.
Dominating defense, offense that really builds off itself, and really good special teams. And that's really what you expect when you watch Alabama.
Sure. Now they got Kelly Bryant just.
Well, you know, that's a great. We just talked about Alabama's defense and how they get pressure. They covered all 5 offensive linemen up.
Right.
And then they run their twist game where sometimes you got to pass off 3 people. We call it a triple pass.
Sure.
Where you got to bump people off, but they're covering them all up. They're finding ways to get pressure on this guy, and he's scrambling for his life right now. And again, it's vintage Alabama defense.
Well, you know what's tough about that is that anytime you get the quarterback off the spot and the quarterback's moving, well, now, man, your defense can start to shift and move. The quarterback's, you know, when he's set to one side of the field, now your coverage can shift. And what you're starting to see, you know, tight coverage on the outside, so there's really no room.
And you know what, Derek, what's impressive, when they put pressure on a quarterback and they flush him, there's most of the time there's somebody there running him down. Sometimes you flush a guy and he's on the perimeter and he can throw it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But these guys don't do it.
Cafe du Monde. Get some cafe au lait and some beignets. I'm heading right down there. Save me a seat. We're coming right back.
Another year, another playoff. And you guessed it, another Bama road trip. A season-long destination. It's again a familiar journey for the Tide. That's just how they roll.
Yeah, that's how they roll. And if you don't like Alabama, you might as well maybe head out of the country. Because this next week's going to be all SEC. If. We're like those guys on the political networks. We're not calling it yet, but we're pretty close.
Yeah. It is highly unlikely.
12 minutes left, and this one looks.
Climbs back into it.
Yeah, we're still waiting for them to count the hand ballots, but other than that, it's pretty well over.
It's just been a dominant performance in every sense of the word. And anybody that can say, well, Alabama, you know, the third-place team in the SEC, we've heard it all. I know it. I get it. Is Alabama's resume that great? No. And then, you know what? What can they do about that? Nothing.
Well, they did something about it tonight.
They did. Right. And they showed it right here. I mean, this is utter dominance. I mean, absolute dominance. And it's not even close.
It hasn't paid to be the #1 team in the country this year.
No, it doesn't. But I think that, look, this is a system that's set up to reward teams that play well and challenge themselves in the non-conference. Alabama tried to with Florida State. The wheels fell off. Florida State didn't become the team that we thought they might.
Right.
And Alabama was rewarded by having good tape out there for the coaches on the committee to recognize and evaluate. And any coach that put on the tape, that put on the tape with an unbiased eye, can obviously tell that Alabama is one of the 4 best teams. Coach, you played against them. You saw it.
Listen, I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
And actually had a chance to see Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, you saw them both.
And both of those teams, seriously deserve, to be in this playoff. You watch what they did throughout the year. Today, man, we watched the Georgia team, beat Oklahoma, in a tough ball game. And when you look at it, we saw what Oklahoma did to Ohio State earlier this year. So when you talk about it, again, a lot of people are going to have arguments about what should happen. It should have went this way. It could have went this way. We got the 4 best teams.
Yep.
Okay, the 4 best teams are playing, and right now, the way it looks, you're going to have 2 teams possibly from the SEC playing in the national title game.
And yeah, this is also going to only make the voices grow a little bit louder. Because if you don't get your way, the system's flawed, we better expand the playoff.
And it's already going on.
No, it's already going on.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to stop. And
yeah, it's not going to stop.
That's part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
But, Greg, to your point,
Anyway, look at that. I'm sure, Coach Mason, you got one of those beignets at Cafe Du Monde. It's one of the most famous places in the world. And it will be jam-packed as soon as this game ends. Look at that sugar.
Wow. Yes.
We welcome you back, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, as we are creeping toward midnight Eastern time. Still a lot to do, and attention being diverted to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where the national championship game will hopefully be wrapping up around this time next Monday night. Georgia's in, and Alabama's starting to make reservations. Not yet, but short of a miraculous comeback that I don't think any of us have ever seen. This game is slowly but surely looking crimson. If you're coaching a game like this, Coach Mason, so it's a huge game. What do you do if you're Dabo Swinney? You're just playing every series.
You know what? I'm just trying to take it one series at a time. Right now, when you look at Bryant, his quarterback's got to manufacture something special. You got to get a first down. The first down leads to, hopefully, another opportunity, to try to get the ball down the field. But right now, they're just struggling to get first downs.
Yeah.
And that's where this game sits right now.
And Kelly Bryant's completely rattled. He's seeing ghosts. Yeah. He's not seeing out in front of the defenders. He's not seeing defenders out in front of the receivers. He's escaping the pocket at first sign of opposite color. He's having a tough night. He really is.
Well, he's completing 50% of his balls. He's thrown 2 picks, 1 for a touchdown. Doesn't matter how they happen. Doesn't matter if it was a deflection. It's still a mental part of the psyche, Greg. You know that when you're a quarterback. And, and he threw a pick, and then a couple series later, he threw a pick 6.
Right.
Okay. And just how that plays on him.
And he's averaging 3 yards an attempt. Yeah. There's no big play threat. They haven't even attempted to throw the ball down the field hardly.
No.
Outside of a back shoulder or 2 earlier in the game, and that was 2 quarters ago.
Last year, Alabama beat Washington 24-7 in the semis. They're ahead 24-6 now. Right. Alabama fans were not happy about that performance. They'll be plenty happy about this one.
Again, they can't block them. Right now, Alabama's defensive line is just taking this game completely. They've just completely taken the game over.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't matter. That's their 5th sack of the night, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. Again, it's just a dominating performance, and they're smothering the routes down the field too. And that's one thing, Coach Mason. He drops back to set his feet. No, he doesn't have much time, but there's not many windows to throw in either right now. And everybody is doing their job. These games right now, defensively, that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Doing your job to the minute detail, and they're playing with confidence, and they're playing fast tonight.
Another one. Oh, he dropped it.
And again, it's the pass rush.
Yeah.
They're winning one-on-ones all the way up and down the board. He doesn't have time to set his feet and throw anything. They don't have to bring 5 guys.
Yeah.
4-man rush. You look at it, rush and coverage are working together, and this is starting to become a tough act for Clemson.
I would love to know. I really would. I was in the stadium that night. I would love to know how many yards LSU had in the 2011 national championship game? Because I would imagine.
How many?
I would imagine it was awfully similar, or at least it certainly feels that way.
Yeah, it does remind you that,
doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it really does.
Maybe it's the
slightly worse than this, but not much,
yeah.
Greg.
No, not much. I mean, this has been complete domination. I mean, of course, that was a shutout, too, but Alabama made a couple mistakes in this one that gave Clemson points. So it's been one-sided from start to finish.
A little under 10 minutes ago, a streetcar named Saban right now. We're coming right back. We welcome you back to the film room as we're watching the final few minutes, and that's the scene on Bourbon Street. It's an Alabama world, and the rest of us are just living in it. That's the cliche, but it's pretty accurate right now as the flags are waving. And the drinks are flowing.
You got to think, too, I mean, with the way Alabama's defensive line has played tonight, do you think they got a little tired of hearing about how great, quote, Clemson's defensive line was? I mean, just as an intangible bulletin board material factor, you have to think that they got tired, real tired, of hearing about the depth and the quality and the personnel on Clemson's defensive line, because they have taken this performance to heart and have absolutely taken over the game.
You know, they play with a chip on their shoulder.
No doubt.
You've got to know Carl Dunbar to know and understand that he's found, you know, a way,
right,
I mean, to get after these guys.
Right.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I don't care if it was a little bulletin board material that went up in their locker.
Right.
You know, man, every day, man, to get these guys ready to play. But I do know this. I mean, these guys don't need bulletin board material. But by the same token,
it never hurts.
It never hurts. It never hurts.
It never hurts.
Well, I think the other thing, too, Greg, you brought it up earlier. I think that, you know, they've been ridiculed a little bit towards the end of the year of, you know, look, are they the same Alabama defense that they've been? All they moved the ball on them, and obviously, you know, the injuries mounted up.
No doubt.
And definitely had an effect. Matter of fact, if you really want to be honest, you take any team in the country that had that many significant injuries throughout the year, and they still win 11 out of 12 games. And that's why you can argue with a committee all you want about who else should have been in there. They got the 4 best teams right. You can't look at Alabama film, and you brought it up earlier with the committee. You can't look at Alabama film as a coach and really have an eye for what you're looking for and deny that they were one of the best 4 teams.
Right.
I was absolutely adamant about that because there's no way you can look at the talent on the field.
No doubt.
You can't question the coaching ever and say they weren't one of the best 4. So I think tonight is a pretty good example of the committee getting it right, in my opinion.
I think the committee's vindicated. Much like in 2014 when Ohio State won it all and it was kind of dramatic, and TCU, Baylor, Ohio State, who should be in that 4 spot? Ohio State gets the nod, and they eventually go on to win it. I mean, there's coaches on the committee. People on the committee know ball. And if they are tasked with getting the 4 best teams in, they did that.
Right.
Now, doesn't seem 4 most deserving. Now, I, for one, would love to see only conference championships won. I think a conference championship would be great to be a prerequisite to get invited to the college football playoffs. And you have more regions of the country that could be represented. But look, right now in the format that we have, it's 4 best teams.
Right, it's not
the
an
4
option.
best teams are in.
Yeah, that's not an option.
Absolutely.
You got 4 teams.
Right.
And your goal is to get the 4 best.
4 best.
And that's not easy.
Yep.
But I think that's why they have a variety of people on the 13-person committee, because they all come and they're all going to see things from a different perspective. But again, I'll say that I saw Kirby at the Birmingham Bowl we did, and we got a chance to talk to him. I told him, I said, hey, congrats.
Yeah.
I said, I think y'all did exactly what you needed to do, and you got the 4 right. And he felt very confident. And he felt very good about it.
Yeah.
And I think, again, when you look at these 2 games, semifinal games tonight,
no doubt,
no one can argue that.
No.
You're talking about domination. Clemson has 113 yards in the last 10 seasons, I believe. Only 4 teams have gone under. What's that? Have gone under 120 in a bowl game. This is a dominating performance.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Completed pass, first down.
One of those was LSU against Alabama.
What's that?
One of those was LSU against Alabama in the championship.
Yeah, in 2011. 92 yards in that game, by the way. when Clemson or when LSU and Alabama played in that stadium 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess it was 6 years ago. However long it was.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
Whatever, right?
January 1st, 12. Feels like we've been here a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, there will be a lot of conversation, though, in the next 3, 4, 8, 9 months about expansion of the college football playoff. Of
course.
That's going to be, because as soon as you don't get your way, we got to expand it. Clearly, the system.
And that was the impetus, that game.
Yeah.
For what
and
we have now.
exactly. When you got two teams from the same conference in the BCS era, it clearly wasn't going to work. They had to make an adjustment. This is what they came to.
Right.
And college football right now has never been more popular.
Right.
You're seeing ratings that are encroaching on the NFL, which, by the way, is in a ratings dive. College football is stable and growing, and it's because I think people are really rallying behind this playoff system, and every single Saturday matters. You know, every Saturday
in the
matters.
East, and everybody likes to knock the East, but now you have a team playing for the national championship.
Well, I think, when we look at it, everybody.
And South Carolina was the only other bowl win, other than Mississippi State.
Football is football. I think you got to put the football down, play the game, and that's what we're going to see in the national title game. If Alabama does indeed, finish this. Football is football. I truly believe, and there's coaches, good coaches on both sides, and that's been shown this bowl season in terms of what it looks like. Sure. It's progressive. When you forecast out and you look at what these teams are doing, Kentucky, South Carolina, what these teams have been able to do, it's been fun to watch in 2017.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these 51 letter winners on this Alabama squad.
Yeah.
I mean, 51 letter winners. You talk about 13 starters, 51 letter winners.
Right.
That says a lot about what this team is.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of games played.
The College
No
World
doubt.
Series finals and the
A lot.
college basketball women's game had 2 SEC schools, so this is not unprecedented in recent time. Meanwhile, it's January 2nd in the Eastern Time Zone. We thank all of you for staying awake and watching. Still January 1st here in New Orleans.
Well, Nick Saban not very happy with Brian Dable after that last sequence. Very upset with a couple pass plays in a row. I think he's wanting to run the football, as you can see in the bottom left.
On the field is touchback. First down, Clemson.
Which would lead somebody to ask, is Nick Saban ever happy, Greg?
You would know, is he or is he not?
It's a momentary happiness after each and every win. He says it's a 24-hour rule. I would be willing to bet that it's a 24-minute rule.
It won't be very long. It won't be 24 hours after this game.
They will not.
This will be the least celebrated game in recent years.
It's a short. It's a short window this year. I mean, you have just a true week, which is good for a player because it establishes consistency. But, man, it's tough to prepare for the biggest game of your lives in a 7-day period.
And Georgia will probably get back to Athens before Alabama gets back to Tuscaloosa. They're keeping track.
It'll be close.
This game has to end before they can go to the airport, though.
That is true.
I would say Georgia's at least an hour. L.A. to Athens, probably a little shorter than coming back west to east.
If you got to go through security and everything. I'm just kidding. They're flying. They chartered.
It will be a club, but right now, though, Saban will not want to give long interviews after this game.
No, they're having a staff meeting on the plane on the way home.
No doubt.
For strategy.
No doubt.
No doubt.
He's got to be pleased with his team, though, because usually when you're in a revenge game, it's a revenge game. So much gets made of the emotion. They've controlled their emotions, especially on offense. Have a turnover, their defense picks it back up. They were able to cash in. I've been impressed by the poise displayed by this Bama team.
Go back to 7 days in terms of preparation. That's you look at that.
Tight.
It's tight, but you know what? It keeps you on schedule. I mean, really, like this time of year, do you really need more?
No.
I mean, you look at
Alabama's just had 5 weeks.
Yeah. You look at more games.
But it's not a normal travel week, so you travel on, for instance.
How upset will he be if he gives up a score here, Greg?
What's that, Paul?
How upset will Coach Saban be if he gives up a score here? He'll give him something to yell about, won't he?
Oh, he'll be fired up. Oh, yeah. Because what's the score in the fourth quarter right now? So right now it's 0-0 in the fourth quarter. If Kelly Bryant and Clemson score here, then that means Alabama could potentially lose the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that is
a bad way to go into a game.
That's not something that Nick Saban is ever comfortable with, nor is Scott Cochran, who is screaming at the top of his lungs, the strength and conditioning coach, on the Alabama sideline right now with his hands in the air with the number 4 in each hand.
That's kind of the weight room guys' mantra.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Bet you if you get a boom mic close enough to that Alabama sideline, you can probably hear him. He's one of a kind. That's good. And there's Cochran, as you can see, whistling 100% of the time. It never fails. Look, there's the 4s. There they are. I wasn't lying to you. The entire fourth quarter, Scott Cochran will stand with his hands raised, constantly reminding you of the importance of playing the final 15 minutes.
Tell you, I've been impressed with Mack Wilson. He's showing up, and I watch him direct traffic out there. And, you know, when they lost Deion Hamilton, that was a huge loss to their defense in terms of getting guys lined up. He was the guy that you could always count on, and he was the quarterback of the defense. You watch Mack Wilson now; he's in there on the inside with Rashaan Evans. He's really directed traffic well tonight.
He has.
He's been in the right spots. There he is making another tackle, and he's just showing up. And again, the value of having a guy like that back after he was beat up at the end of the year, and you know, just the depth of this linebacking core. They lose Dylan Moses here in practice to a freak foot injury. You know, and again, the guys just show up and produce. It's really an amazing example of the great depth that they have there.
If there's ever been a position group challenged like never before, it's this Alabama linebacker crew, because they have had to endure some serious adversity this year, and Mack Wilson, one of those guys that's now rallied back and making the most of his health. He has had a heck of a ball game tonight, obviously highlighted by the pick 6 created by the deflection off Levi Wallace.
Right. And he missed one right after that, too. That been his fifth of the year.
Right.
And again, there's a knack for being in the right place in the right time. You know, Coach Mason, defensive guys with great anticipation that they're always in the right spot.
I was looking for those guys.
I mean, I wish we had kept count. I'm sure we could probably find the information. I want to know how many times Kelly Bryant's had to get himself up off the turf.
It's been a bunch.
After throwing the football. I mean, it's a lot.
It has definitely been a bunch.
I mean, he's feeling it on every single snap.
Guess who? Mack Wilson.
Everywhere. I mean, he's your MVP tonight.
Yeah, he's playing great. I mean, that pick 6 changed the game.
Yeah.
Just having him in there and the comfort level that you can tell with him and Rashaan Evans playing right next to each other. I mean, it's making a difference in the football game.
It's off the charts. I mean, just off the charts. And really, Mack Wilson he has probably never played this many snaps, or at least doesn't feel like he has over the course of his career. I mean, he's been, you know, kind of a really key contributor on special teams, a guy that played quite a bit, but not necessarily an extended role to this extent.
Right.
Man, he's standing out tonight. Here's right here, Anthony Jennings down for Alabama. He's banged up earlier in the year, missed a lot of time, and a guy that Alabama can ill afford to lose. He, of course, created that interception that was picked up by Daron Payne. He's had a couple of big moments tonight as well. So another linebacker for Alabama that's down in pain right now. Certainly hope he's okay.
You hate to see this.
Hate to see it.
He's been very productive tonight, too. 3 tackles for loss. You know, earlier in the game, he had a couple of really, really great negative plays on Kelly Bryant.
I mean, he's made, that guy right there has made the play of the game. Because when he made the sack fumble, or whatever it was, I'm going to call it a fumble, but it probably would go to as an interception, where he hits Bryant around the right edge, and the ball pops into Deron Payne's belly.
Right.
The game was 10-6 at that point.
That's right.
And Clemson had the ball with good field position and with momentum.
Yeah.
And that play changed the outcome of the game. It completely changed the fabric. So I know Mac Wilson is likely the MVP of the defense tonight. Nobody made a bigger play than Anthony Jennings, who was hobbling off a little bit and is going to have a tough time getting off under his own power.
Hopefully it's one of those deals that looks initially worse than it really is. And I agree with you. This guy's played a great game.
More pressure on him now.
Really has. And look, if he can go, he'll go. And Jeff Allen right there underneath Anthony's right arm, the head trainer, is one of the best in the business. He'll do everything he can to make sure that Anthony's in good hands and maybe capable of playing next week. Who knows? Hunter Renfrow just has been a non-factor tonight after being such a huge reason for Clemson's offensive success the last 2 years. Last 2 years, Hunter Renfrow against Alabama, 4 touchdowns, 17 receptions, 180 yards. Tonight, 4 receptions. He's been targeted a bunch, only 28 yards. They've done a good job of keeping him in check, Coach.
I think there's 2 things, Greg.
The previous play of incomplete pass is under review.
I think the 2 things that Nick and his staff did that are really good, they said there's 2 things that aren't going to beat us tonight. We're not going to go home on the plane and regret the fact that we didn't take care of Hunter Renfrow.
Right.
And that we didn't run the ball Alabama style.
Sure.
And play the way we have to win this many games over our last X amount of years. And both of those things are happening. I mean, right now you have tailbacks that have carried the ball 28 times tonight, tailback alone. And, you know, a lot of the other runs are Jalen Hurts maybe scrambling out and a couple of designed quarterback runs, but they've run it 28 times with a tailback. They've pounded the football. They were in 4th and 1, and they said, you know what, we're going to make a statement. Damon Harris gets the first down.
Right.
They won games and played great defense. And I think that they went into this game and said that we can't look back and these things come back to bite us.
Right.
And they didn't. They're doing what they should have done. And that's part of what gives you, you know, this month you have off, there's some down.
You can overanalyze it sometimes,
there's some downsides to it, but when you can really go back and take the time to evaluate what you were good at and what you weren't. And, Coach, you know in spring ball, sometimes you don't have.
The ruling is the receiver did maintain control of the ball. It's a completed pass. 4th down, the 9-yard line.
And sometimes, Derek, in spring ball, when you go back to reevaluate yourself and you only have a month or 5 weeks, you sit there and go, God, I really wish we'd have seen that and been able to handle that during the year. Well, essentially, that's what they had going into these 2 games.
Right.
What were we good at, what were we not good at, and then Nick's going to be the best in the business at fixing whatever the problems were.
Fixed it fast, and then you look at, too, the defense is just what it's done. I mean, 60 yards rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about needing to, you know, limit the quarterback runs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, did that.
Right.
Totally.
And put it on the quarterback to throw the football and took care of that as well.
Right, yeah. Game plan, check the box, because the game plan is in full effect.
Timeout. Clemson, the first of the half. Be 30 seconds in length.
Stop the run, defend the pass, limit the explosive plays, and play good on special
teams. And you said stop the run and stop the quarterback run.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was...
And Kelly Bryant's got 17 carries for 15 yards. That includes a 20-yarder that he had earlier in the game.
That's right.
So a majority of his runs have gone for either 0 or negative yards. A vast majority. It's impressive how they've been.
Well, they've lost 34 yards in sacks too, with 5 sacks. And, and again, that's just another great, you know, example of great pass rush and creating negative plays, negative yards.
And of the times that he's dropped back to pass, so he's had 42 dropbacks. He's been under duress 19 of those 42. So 45% of his dropbacks, he's scrambling for his life or getting hit.
Right.
Been a long drive.
Has been.
Yeah, certainly not in any hurry here, obviously. Clemson's not. Just trying to make it look a little better than it was. What a performance. I mean, just what a performance by Alabama.
And I can promise you they are gritting their teeth right now, not wanting to get in and score this last one. 24-6 has a little better ring to it than 24-13, doesn't it?
I agree, but the turnaround is so fast, though, Coach, to the next game that I think everyone knows what this game was all about.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around what next week's going to look like. It's you love fast, hard-hitting, well-coached ball.
Right.
Come join us.
Well, he is taking.
Brian's not going to be able to stand up tomorrow.
I mean, he is taking some shots. Man.
He is. He's wobbly right now, and he's.
Timeout. Clemson. Their second of the half.
You know, that kid, you got to give that kid a lot of credit. He's had an incredible
great
year. You know, all the question marks with Deshaun Watson being gone. What's he going to be able to do? Well, he got him to this game.
Man.
That's what he did.
And he had a heck of a year. I mean, and Clemson's a heck of a team, too.
Yes.
Let's not try to pretend that Clemson's some average squad and, you know, the Syracuse game and you know, maybe it was more than just Kelly Bryant. Look, this is a good football team.
It is.
I mean, this is a really good football team that happened to catch an elite football team and an elite coach on an off night. And that's what happened.
And a healthy team.
Yeah.
And a much healthier team.
And a fresh team.
Right.
I mean, a fresh team at that, because a lot of those guys that are playing big minutes tonight have been out.
Been off
with injuries.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
One more offensive snap if Clemson doesn't score, obviously. I imagine you're going to see quite the celebration from the Bama defenders.
Yeah, I would say that they're going to be really excited.
I'm not sure there's a bigger snap in the game than this one right here.
But at least
for those guys, just with the sense of pride and knowing what's on the line in that regard.
About it. That's a great feeling, isn't it, Coach Mason, when you know you're going to win the game, but then, you know, the other team's about ready to put it in on you, right?
No, you slam the door.
How you win? Close the door?
Slam the door.
It's a good feeling.
Slam the door, drop the mic.
Watch these defensive guys. Look at them. Think they're excited?
They are fired up, man. So is that guy in the front row.
that was quite a stand.
That was, and that's buckling down.
Help us understand, coaches. Before we do that, let's listen to Eli Gold on the Alabama Radio Network with the final stand of the game.
Try and sing it for you, but you know the tune, even though I might look a little bit like Meatloaf, but I won't sing it. You guys help yourself, though, at home or wherever it is you're listening.
Well, round 3 is going to go to the Alabama Crimson Tide. They win this rubber match because they dominated both lines of scrimmage on the offensive side and the defensive side.
Jalen Hurts, who will go all the way at quarterback for Alabama. On the handoff, Damian Harris out across the 5 to the 7-yard line. A minute 32 remaining in the ball game. Folks, if you'd like, you can go to RollTide.com to pick up all of your Sugar Bowl championship merchandise. It'll be available there in about a minute and 15 seconds. As soon as the game is over, you can go to RollTide.com to pick up all of your Sugar Bowl merchandise. And again, next Monday, a week from tonight, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, our broadcast of the Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. Here's the snap. Handoff Damian Harris. He'll rush it out to the 15-yard line and is close to a first down and picks it up all but the last half yard. So 43 seconds remaining in this one. And folks, you might want to put away that shovel of dirt. It's not time to bury the Bama dynasty. Once again, Alabama will be playing for the national championship. This time against the Georgia Bulldogs next Monday night in Atlanta, Georgia. Alabama 24. The Clemson Tigers 6. The Crimson Tide win the national semifinal here in New Orleans and take a huge victory over Clemson. The national title game is next Monday night right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Nick Saban making his way to midfield now. He'll meet with his good friend, Dabo Swinney. They will embrace. They'll pat one another on the back. They'll talk about this game another time.
So it's Nick Saban down there, and what an amazing win.
And that was a vintage Alabama performance. Just running through the numbers, guys. All right? 5 sacks, +1 turnovers, forcing 2, leading to an immediate score on a pick 6, holding Clemson to 188 total yards, including 64 on the ground, and showcasing incredible balance offensively. 139 rushing yards, and 120 passing yards for Jalen Hurts. Really impressive vintage Alabama performance. The Alabama team that we've come to know and love over the last decade, that's what they look like, and that's what they displayed today.
I'll tell you what, Brian Dable, I got to give that guy a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I tell you, he went back and he looked at and he really dissected what the issues were in their only loss of the year, and he fixed them tonight. He fixed them by the way they ran the football. He fixed them by the way they controlled the line of scrimmage.
Right.
The confidence that he showed in 4th and 1 in the 3rd quarter, going for it and saying, we're going to take this line of scrimmage over. He ran his tailbacks over 30 times in the football game, which they did not do before.
Right.
Easy access throws for Jalen Hurts, and he coached Jalen Hurts that if you don't have it, throw it away. Don't get dangerous. And let our defense play complementary football with us, because we know they're going to show up. We know they're healthy. And, of course, you know, Jeremy Pruitt drinking water out of a fire hose for the last 3 weeks, trying to figure out how to be a head coach for the first time and coordinate a defense to get to a national championship game. Got to give him a lot of credit, because this defense was humming tonight.
Yeah, I thought the players played well, coached well. And the biggest take for me is that Jalen Hurts, played within himself.
Yeah.
You know, the game came easy for him tonight. I thought he did a good job of just making the plays that were there to be made. Other than the one mistake for him, in a flawless game, and that's what it takes to win these type of games.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. He didn't feel like he had to put it all on his shoulder and win the game.
Right.
He just needed to make sure he didn't make any critical mistakes.
Sure.
And you're going to make one or so during a football game. But you know what? This team came out with a chip on their shoulder, and they played like it from the opening kickoff. They played like, hey, guess what, guys? You can argue the point all you want. We belong here, and we deserve to be in the top 4. And tonight we're going to show it to you.
And they proved it in every sense of the word. I mean, that was as dominant a performance as we've seen. So many of those yards, by the way, that Clemson accrued, so many of those yards taking place really in garbage time, for lack of a better word. 60 or so coming on the final drive, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere around there. I mean, this was a one-sided affair from the very beginning. And like you guys said, it's a real testament to the coaching staff and Jalen too. I mean, Jalen, you know, there's whispers, you know, maybe Tua gets some burn tonight, you know, and it's just, you got to give him credit. I mean, this guy's unflappable, man. And look, is he perfect? No. But he doesn't have to be. And I think that he understands that. And look, the only mistakes he made tonight were missed opportunities. Underthrow deep ball, okay, no worries. A little low on a deep over route, okay, no worries. You have a mess up on a little exchange, it's okay, your defense will pick you up and hold Clemson to 3 points. I mean, he understands that he can be a complementary piece, not the feature piece, and that's okay. Because winning is really all that matters. And that's what you're defined by as a quarterback, and he could care less what the stat sheet says.
Coach Mason, turning ahead to next Monday night, you face both of these teams. We'll have plenty of time, but we may not see you for a couple of days. Your thoughts on how these two teams match up?
They match up well. I mean, you're talking about imposing defenses. I'd really have to say I'd give the edge to Georgia just in terms of the balance of run and pass.
Right.
Okay, I mean, and what they can do. I do believe Georgia's a more complete team. But listen, we've got a week. Alabama is as good as anybody in the country at being able to game plan, get their guys ready to play. I'm sure they're going to hear that throughout the week, you know, in terms of what the banner is about. Are they good enough to win a national title?
Right.
And so we're going to see a great football game.
Coach Chiswick, I mean, one team, Georgia's coming off of an emotional, gut-wrenching win. Alabama had this game wrapped up pretty early. Does that make any difference?
I think, no, I don't think it will, Paul. But again, I think you look at two teams that won two different ways. I think, you know, the way Alabama dominated this football game, I think, you know, they've got a little bit of their swag back, you know, in terms of how they're playing defense, in terms of them believing, hey, you know, the recipe for winning is what we did tonight. And then I think you have a Georgia team that says, hey, look, you know, even when things don't look good, we can still come back and win it. So I think this is going to make for a great game.
Let's head down to the field. Lauren Sisler with Rashaan Evans. Lauren?
Rashaan, this Alabama football team wanted this opportunity to come out and prove themselves. What is your message to the college football world right now?
To be honest with you, it's just simple, man. You know, we're not really worried about what the media has to say about us. We obviously played our game, and, you know, you saw the results.
You guys came out and dominated throughout the entire football game. Speak to the resiliency of this linebacking core facing so much, you know, injury all season long.
Yeah, I feel like we faced a lot of adversity this season. You know, the media torched us on us not being able to stop the run, not being able to protect the pass, and, you know, I felt like as a whole defense, man, we took that as motivation and we played the best game possible.
What do you think the biggest key in getting that dominant performance over Clemson was tonight?
To be honest with you, just straight want to. I felt like we was hungry this time. The fact that we lost to Auburn, we took that and, you know, we just looked at it as, you know, you can't take anything for granted. And I felt like that the fact that we did all the things that we did in order to win this game, it just kind of shows you the type of motivation that we have now going into this next game.
Thanks so much, Rashaan. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Lauren Sisler with Rashaan Evans as the Alabama team and the fans continue to celebrate the Sugar Bowl trophies presentation about to unfold.
Paul, what are you going to talk about on tomorrow's show?
There's so many subjects in only 4 or 5 hours. I don't know.
What are you starting with?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, this is, we'll start with an all-SEC matchup.
I was hoping for a very smart, eloquent response from you. I'm proud that you took the high road. That makes me very happy.
It's going to be hard to run away from that. I mean, there are a lot of other things that are going on from every fan base, but meanwhile, Lauren Sisler with Damian Harris. Lauren?
Damian, you wanted this opportunity to come out here and prove to everyone that you belonged here in this college football playoff. What is your message to the college football world right now?
You know, we just want to come out here and, you know, we knew that a lot of people didn't think we could do it. They didn't think we deserved to be here. But I think after tonight we really proved that we were the right team to be in the number 4 spot. So, yeah, we're really happy with the way we played, and, you know, we're looking forward to our next game.
Jalen Hurts really able to spread the ball around tonight. What do you think the pivotal point in this football game for your offense was?
You know, I think we started out fast, and I think the run game was really strong tonight. I think it opened up a lot of things for Jalen, and it helped us be effective all night.
Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Georgia going to be competing in the national championship. You guys are going up against them. Initial assessment of them.
They're a great team, but you know, we'll focus on that tomorrow. You know, this is a big moment for us as a team, and you know, we're all trying to enjoy it. So we'll worry about Georgia tomorrow.
What are you guys going to do to celebrate?
I don't know if I can tell you that.
To be determined, right? Congratulations.
Yeah, so Damian Harris echoing his coach. I don't know of any player on that team, Greg, sounds more like Nick Saban when asked a question like that. Yeah, we know we're playing Georgia, but we're not thinking about them yet.
No, not yet. Enjoy it, right, for a few minutes at least, and then eventually take the next step. It's interesting. This, of course, being a 7-day span of preparation. It's going to be really fascinating to see what these coaches say in regards to their preparation, how they change, what they do. Do they limit practice? So much emotion goes into the semifinal. Do they handle it in a different way? It's obviously kind of a different dynamic, and it's going to be really interesting to see how both Nick Saban and Kirby Smart prepare.
Coach, let me ask you, if you're on the Alabama-Georgia sideline, have you gotten ready to play either one in this long layoff?
Well, I think that you obviously stay ahead of the curve, Paul, and you're prepared with all of the information that you need. You have to be. Like when they get back tomorrow, both teams will have everything already broke down. They'll have a general knowledge of the other team. They won't have dove into it, obviously, to the nth degree that they will starting tomorrow. But they've got a great idea of what each other does. And let's not forget this, Paul, when you talk about what your storylines are going to be, on your show. I mean, this is two head coaches that know each other about as good as anybody can know each other,
yeah,
right? I mean, and I think that's really, really interesting because you got to sit down in staff meetings and go, all right, well, let's look at doing this. Well, he knows we're doing this. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's going to be a lot of that going on both ways.
Oh, sure.
And I just think that's a really interesting dynamic because I don't know that this has happened before. I'd have to think back a long time.
No.
Where something this unique has happened.
Sure.
Where guys spent that much time together.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 years removed.
Right. And how many years? 9 years, 8 years together and in each other's minds and know each other that well. That's a very interesting dynamic. So, but they'll dive into it deep tomorrow. I can tell you
Greg,
that.
I mean, of all of Nick Saban's assistants, I mean, Kirby Smart seemed to be as closely aligned with his philosophy as anyone.
No doubt. I mean, he was the chosen one, as he was dubbed by some around the facility, and I think that him and Nick Saban's personalities are awfully similar. I know that it might not come across that way, but the way they coach you, how hands-on they are. Now, obviously, the one thing that Kirby Smart has done such a great job of in a short period of time is changing the mindset and making it about execution within the scheme. And whether it be offensively or defensively, that team plays incredibly well collectively as a unit. And they complement each other. And they also have been a calloused group, too. I mean, to bounce back the way they did against Auburn, to beat them just a couple weeks later and beat them badly just a couple weeks later. This Georgia team is going to have something for Alabama, no doubt. It's going to be a tremendous matchup, strength against two teams that somewhat resemble each other in the way they've been built.
I think if you look at them, I think they mirror each other almost to a T. I think they run the same defensive scheme. Offensively, what has Georgia built it on? Running the football and being able to be efficient at the quarterback spot without having him have to win the game, put the game on his shoulders. I mean, that's what Jake Fromm does. And you look at, Georgia's got two great tailbacks that are both game changers.
Right.
Alabama's got the same. They both got physical offensive lines, physical defensive lines.
Right.
I mean, if you take the defense and you go and you look at just about every defensive coordinator or defensive category that matters.
Right.
in the country, they're going to be 1-2 or 2-3 and 3-4.
Right.
I mean, they're almost right there neck and neck in just about every category that matters. And, you know, I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how they game plan for each other.
Yeah.
We've got Mel Tucker over there as well.
And Mel Tucker.
Jeremy Pruitt was at Georgia.
And there is a lot of familiarity. I mean, it's not just Kirby Smart. I mean, it's Mel Tucker, it's Glenn Schumann, Brian Vogler is on the Georgia staff. There's a lot of Alabama guys that are on that Georgia staff. These teams know each other extremely well.
Well, guys, we are finally done here. Coach Chizik, a great pleasure. Greg,
enjoyed it.
We did it.
Quite a memorable night. We thank everybody else who has been with us. We'll do it again next Monday night in case you haven't had enough. We thank you for being part of this program. Alabama will meet Georgia a week from tonight for the national championship in Atlanta. We are done. Thanks for being a part of the show. Much more to come right here.